Okay, so I've moved to a completely different location. I am hoping that whatever was interrupting this video, that now the video, it cannot be interrupted. That is what I'm hoping. The lighting here is not that good, but hey, it's the message actually that matters. So I'm gonna wait a little bit and see if people will come on. Again, not sure what was happening earlier. This is a place that, you know, downstairs that I have been 10 billion times, recorded videos, whatever. But anyway, that's not important. Right now, I'm back here. Assalamu alaikum to everybody that is able to join us. So I'm just gonna give people a few minutes so that you guys can join in. I apologize for all the interruptions earlier. So, but hey, all's well that ends well. Okay? Give it a little bit of time. Assalamu alaikum to everybody that has been joining us. Please let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. If you're having problems hearing me, let me know. But I think it should be pretty clear. Just giving people time to come on. But like I said, I think it should be pretty clear. Okay. Can somebody let me know if they can hear me? I can't even see people's messages. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yep. Can you guys hear me clearly? Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Assalamu alaikum. My new everybody. Si sen tour accent Santa. Di len wax jërëjëf. I know it's a little late and it's a weekday. Si li ngeen jël time pour ñëw join the video, and I also apologize about the fact that the video got interrupted so many times. I actually was in a location that I've had Skype meetings at since I've been here and have not had any problems with it. But hey, like I said, all is well that ends well. I'm not gonna take any more of your time. I'm gonna go into it. As usual, I'm gonna start by saying that it is not my intention to malign anybody. It is not my intention to say anything that is not true. I will only say things as I saw it or as I heard it with my own ears, either witnessed it or somebody else told me. And in any case where somebody told me something, I would say the name of the person that told me and exactly what they told me. No more, no less. I will not insult anybody. I will not disrespect anybody. It is not my intention in any way to do anything that me myself will be ashamed of now or in the future. Now, as I said in my earlier posting, I do not address issues that are personal. Over the past 2 years, I've had very personal things, especially after my brother died, that people accused me of. I didn't address them because I was not raised to go out and deal with personal things in the public. That's not who I am. And I would never do anything that one day I'll be ashamed of, or that my mother will look at and be ashamed of, or my uncles, or any of the people I respect, or the people who look up to me, my nieces, my nephews, etc. Because those are the people that matter the most to me. In this case, at first I was not gonna say anything, you know, but I saw what was happening, and then I realized also that this is a very different issue than personal issues. This is a national issue. And I also saw all the attacks, ridiculous attacks, all the shenanigans. Actually, they were funny to me, to be honest with you. I was enjoying some of these. I'm like, Gambians, so Gambians, if we were more than 2 million on this earth, yàlla rek a xam lu tax mu def ñu tuuti suñ bari woon ñun. Suñ bari woon yàlla dafa toog rek ne ñu coppet ñun ñëpp génnee ñu si àddina si. Because we are just an interesting, exciting package. Anyway, that being said, like I said, I was sitting back. Actually, it was good comic relief for me. I was laughing. I'm not the kind of person that is easily shaken. And let me tell everybody who's attacking me, what I've been through over the past 2 years, I'm not saying that there's not going to be anything that is going to make me mad again or shake me to my core, but I can assure you it will probably be something that comes from God, not from man. So that's why when I went on Fatu Radio, I invited people to do their worst, because I know it's not going to shake me from here to there. Because what I do know is who I am, and I've worked on myself for a long time. What I do also know is that I always do my utmost best to tell the truth. Now, what other people do, that's their problem. You don't control people. You let people do what they're going to do. They have a right to their opinions. That's their right. Is it going to affect me? No, because I know who I am. The people who believe it are going to believe it anyway. You know, some people are going to believe it because they wanted to believe something bad about you anyway, so they will believe it. Okay, now I'm going to start and focus on the event. How did the event, I'm going to talk about everything from where the event started all the way to the issue of the stage that day on Saturday, September 23rd, and why we ended up with no question and answer, okay? So I'll start with how the event started. To be honest with you, I was talking to a friend of mine, and they mentioned that, hey, you know, we should go to the United Nations and just witness Barrow's maiden speech. Wouldn't that be cool? I said, you know what? I have some UN contacts. I'm going to call them. People I've worked with who are in the UN. I'm going to call them and ask them to get me some tickets. You know, in the past, they have done so. They've gotten me passes to get into the UN. So I actually called Chernoba, who I work with on a lot of projects, charity projects, both for Gambia and non-Gambians. And I called him and I said, hey, this is what I want to do. He said, well, that's a good idea. I said, would you like to go? He said, maybe, but I'm not sure. So I called my contacts. In this case, Siddiq Y, who a lot of the Gambian community in New York know. I have actually worked with him when the Ebola outbreak happened, because he is the national spokesperson and the president of the United African Congress, and he also ran for public advocate for the city of New York. And so their organization is kind of like an umbrella organization of all the African organizations in the US, but mainly they deal a lot with those in New York. Well, he told me, well, me and Cherno both called him on the phone, and he said, well, why would you guys just stop there? You know, of course, we can get you a ticket, you go to the UN, and then you go and you witness his speech, then what? What does your community benefit? I mean, I'm sure you benefit by just watching his speech, but what does your community benefit? So he challenged us. I said, well, Siddiq, what are you trying to say? He said, well, instead of stopping there, why don't you try to see if you can bring all your community together and hold an event and challenge your government to come to the event and meet Gambians? This is the first time he's coming to the US. And I said, oh my God, Siddiq. Cherno said the same thing. I said, Cherno, I mean, we said, Siddiq, you don't know our community. They don't easy that. You are trying to make us do something. He said, but of course it's not easy. You all know this work is not easy. But are you telling me that you guys are not up to it? I said, okay, we got to think about this, because I don't know what you challenging us to do. It's not that it's not doable. I said, but Siddiq, you don't understand. He said, what do you mean I don't understand? I work with Sierra Leoneans, Liberians, Guineans. I've worked with Gambians. None of our African communities are easy. Even in the African-American community here that I work with, and American communities are not easy. But Sigga, is either you're telling me you're not up to the challenge, or you're scared, or you only do easy things. So me and Cherno, actually, it took us 2 weeks. We kept going back and forth. He's like, Sigga, yang madugalati. You know our people, and you have said that after this, you're not even going to get involved in any projects except for projects that you know that are little projects on the side. So this is a big thing. I said, You know what? Then finally, I kept thinking about it in my head, and I'm the kind of person, like if I say I'm not going to do something, or I think about something, but then it keeps coming back to me over and over, usually what I do is I realize that maybe God is speaking to me, or that it's something that maybe it speaks to my spirit. Deep within me, I knew that it would be a good thing. Although I kept dismissing it, it kept coming back up. So finally I called Charno. I said, Charno, we got to do this. He said, Sigga, commencé nga sa project you do jeex su ko defee mu nekk a big problem by the time you finish nga mer ne yow doo ko jekkali parce que you can't deal with all this craziness, but then you still bring on the projects. Ma ne ko Charno, I know, but we gotta do this. So finally, what ended up happening, I convinced him. I convinced him because I know Charno. If he says he's gonna do something, he's gonna do it, and he's gonna push me too. Because I'm the one that when people start accusing you, arguing for no reason, I'm like, okay, that's it, I'm going. I don't have time for arguments, and I want to go. But I know that he would always hold me accountable, and he will push me. So I usually bring him into projects for that reason, because my fuse is short, especially when it comes to people accusing you for no reason. You have an agenda, or you want to be famous. I'm like, I just don't have time for that. So he is my guarantee. Usually he can talk me into being sensible. So usually I like him in projects, and he's also a ferocious, tenacious worker. Once he want to do something, he will do it to his level best. He doesn't care who's doing something or not. So I usually try to convince him first. If I can bring him along on a community project, I usually do it. And we do a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't even hear about a lot of times, because Charno doesn't like for people to know if he's doing anything. Actually, I've mentioned him far more in the past 6 months than probably his name has ever come up, but he has been working on Gambian issues for the longest. So we went back, we called Siddiq and told him, okay, you know what, we've decided we're going to do it. He said, okay, if you're going to do this, you're going to be totally committed. I'm going to write a letter to my to my organization, and we'll start the dialogue. So we started, had a meeting with them. They said, okay, the first thing you should do, write a letter to your embassy, the UN, the Gambian mission to the UN, the ambassador. Write him a letter, explain exactly what you want to do, that you want to bring the New York community as a host, and then you want to work with their office to convene a meeting. At first we were saying kind of a meet and greet. Then we said, okay, how about a town hall, so he can dialogue, because we know that the diaspora have a lot of questions that they want to ask our president. How about that? Let's do that. We said, okay. So we wrote him a letter, and I have copies of that letter and all the emails. I keep all my documentation. That's one thing I do, even in personal life. But the reason why when people accuse me in personal life, I don't bring it out, because sometimes I just feel like it's not worth it. But this is national issue. That's why I'm coming out. Okay. So we wrote to Tangara, Dr. Tangara, the ambassador to the Gambian mission to the UN. He actually immediately, I think the next day, called us instead of writing back. He called, and Charno and I, one thing Charno and I do, if you call me, I always connect in Charno. If you call Charno, Charno always connects me, because we want a witness. If we can't get each other, we find another person that we can connect in, so that if anybody says anything, we would have a witness. That is always just our modus operandi. That's how we work. It's just something we've developed kind of naturally, actually. And I kind of learned it from Charno, because he does that all the time. So we talked to him. He said, you know what, I think it's a good idea, but my father just passed away, and it's the 40 days I'm going to go to Gambia. I said, okay, so I'm not going to be here, but I'll connect you to my my deputy, who is Lamin Fati, and you can talk with him. We said, okay, fine. You know what? You have WhatsApp, right? He said, yes. We said, okay, you are still going to be in Gambia. Please, when you go to Gambia, take the letter that we wrote to you explaining exactly what we want to do, and we will, share it with the people on the ground. We also said, okay, fine. And we told him, we were very clear. We said it was a non-partisan event, that anybody who is Gambian and lives in the diaspora, or friend of the Gambia, or simply have an interest in it, you're invited to sit on the committee, as well as to participate at the day of the event. I don't care if you were APRC, it doesn't matter. That was the message. He said, well, that was a noble cause. Then we started asking in New York, who do we call? Siddiq told us, I have a relationship with Lamin Drame, who was my co-MC, and I have a relationship with Maimuna Cisse, whose husband is Lamin R. Darboe, I think, who is related to Lawyer Darboe, and Siddiq said, I will contact them and I'll talk to them. And he also told us about Alaji Ibu Cham, who is the president of the, I think it's this association, United Gambian Association or whatever. It's supposed to be an umbrella organization. I'm not sure if it exactly serves in that role, but that's what it was meant to be. I don't think it got successful. We talked to Saul Menga. Saul gave us phone numbers, a lot of phone numbers actually. I started a database of different phone numbers. We told him, and we told Alaji Ibu Cham, and Siddiq told Maimuna and Lamin Drame that we wanted to bring all the New York leaders, whether if they are an individual community leader, because maybe in their community they're respected, they're known, maybe they're the ones that mobilize the community, whether it's Ngente or Daira or whatever, but they have access to a group of Gambians. We want to bring them, you know, or if there's an official Gambian organization and they are the head of it, we want to bring them. We started a database of all these Gambians. In the end, we had close to 30 different Gambian leaders that we were given in New York. Everybody we called in New York told us this is not going to work. And we said, why is it not going to work? They said, because Gambians, we don't work together, especially here in New York. Some of them told us, you can't call this person because that one was APRC. Some of them told us, you can't call this one because this one, you know, I don't like this. They were telling us the dirt about each other. But our message was constant. We said, listen, I don't care if it's somebody you don't like or I don't like, whether they were APRC. What we are saying, the message today is this is non-partisan. If they are Gambian, from the Gambia, or they are a friend of the Gambia, and they are interested in working on this, we need to bring them. And we're going to start with New York. Our idea initially was we bring all the New York community leaders and leaders of organizations, and they form a host committee. We start working on that, and then we reach out, we list all the Gambian organizations that are around the U.S., all the different major cities like Atlanta, D.C., Seattle, you know, even Canada and Detroit, all of the major Gambian organizations. We were going to call them and bring them on board. But once we brought in the New York community leaders, things were so contentious and took so long, and the back and forth and the arguing, and that it was just so cumbersome. I can't tell you, during that time I was like, Cherno, within 2 weeks we did so much. Now it's been almost a month. We have not even been able to agree on one thing since we brought these people together. I think we need to let go of this. Through to Cherno's nature, he challenged me. He said, Sigga, you brought me into this. You started it. You're going to finish this. So it's not going to be easy, but focus on the reason why we're doing this. Siddiq challenged us and told us that let's bring our community together. It's never easy, but you have to stay. And I said, you know what? It's not fair for me to bring him in this and then I walk away. And Siddiq would tell us the same thing. We'll call him, complain, this one is saying this, these people are in fighting, these people are this, they're on the phone fighting. We can't even agree on one thing. This is just ridiculous. I don't have time for this. I have other things that I can be doing. And Siddiq said, Sigga, listen, this is not easy. You agreed to do it. You make a commitment. You stick with it. I don't care if they're pissing you off. I don't care if they're accusing you of stuff that you and I know it's not true. You need to fulfill your commitment. And I said to myself, you know what? Actually, that's true. I made a commitment. I don't care how hard it is, how much they're accusing me of things that are totally untrue. People started saying that we came because we have an agenda, that our agenda is that we want to bring Barrow to the town hall and shame him. I mean, all kinds of crazy things. I'm looking at these people like, really? You know, where are you even pulling this from your head? But anyway, we stuck to it. I'm telling you how many times I had a conversation wanting to walk away. So now, Siddiq first wanted to find us a place at it was the New York Metropolitan College. He called them and they were going to give us a hall. Initially, honestly, I thought that maybe we'll have 200, 300 people. You know, this is what I was thinking. Especially since time was running out and we couldn't do anything. We had to agree, consensus on anything, and everything we start agreeing on, people argue, fighting, argue. They go in their little groups and start talking. This one, initially they started saying, these people from outer state want to run this. They're going to know we're in New York. This has to be New York control. All of these back and forth. I'm like, I'm not interested. And I'm not interested in controlling anything. The idea is for New York to be the host. As long as you make decisions, I don't care what decisions you make, just make a decision for God's sake and stop arguing over petty, ridiculous things. Okay, so Metropolitan but people started saying, I think we're going to get more than 300. So the Metropolitan College of New York said, well, we don't have a hall that's going to give us more than 300. So we had written a letter to their president, and their president was actually going to be present in the hall. They said, well, our hall is not going to hold as many as you say. So we went to Columbia University. Columbia University committed. But then we started saying, well, you know what? Maybe people started saying, you know what, I think we might have up to 500. So we told Columbia said, well, our biggest hall is actually not in a renovation, so the hall we're going to give you can only hold about 400. So at that time, Siddiq had connected us to the Manhattan Borough President's office. This is, of course, you all know New York has different boroughs. It's kind of like counties in a way. If you live in other states, it might be similar to counties. So the borough of Manhattan, their president, Siddiq has connections with, and he connected us with them and told us to write a letter. The letter should say, that we want them to come on board, partner with us, help us to get a location, and also really just come as co-hosts. They agreed. There was a brother there Alassane Diop, who was Senegalese, who actually belongs to the United African Congress. He was really helping a lot. Well, even that was such a big argument. People started saying, no, why are we partnering with the borough president? I'm like, are you guys serious? The borough president doesn't need anything from us. They're going to give us a free hall, and also they're going to bring local New York newspapers and TVs, and they also actually can bring businessmen who can sponsor the food and whatever. But even that, we had so much arguments that in the end we couldn't even go to the borough president and ask them for certain things, because the argument went back and forth before we finally agreed on, okay, the borough president is going to stay because they are not a threat. We had to have a meeting on the phone. People were arguing. I'm like, you guys really think that the borough president wants something from us, or we're doing them a favor, or that they want to come control this? They're doing us a favor. Anyway, in the end we agreed to that, but I don't think that we even maximized that relationship, because they could have brought businessmen who would give, and restaurants that can give us food, cater very nice. Now, one problem we had was a venue, because it was Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish holiday, that Thursday and that Friday. And because it was Rosh Hashanah, and in Manhattan, there's a lot of Jewish population. They're the ones that live there a lot. So all the major halls were filled. I actually feel like if it was just us, we may not be able to have a hall. So they finally got us. The the location that we ended up having at the school, which was the Harriet Tubman Learning Center. The Learning Center could take a little bit under 500, almost 500. Okay, initially we thought we were going to be fine. As a matter of fact, I was worried about maybe we should advertise, because maybe people don't know about this, because we didn't have the amount of time we needed to reach out to other states. We were only able to reach out to a few other states, so maybe we need to do better advertisement. And some people say, you know what, since we couldn't have a bigger hall, let's just keep it at that. Especially, and part of the reason that took us so long was this back and forth. The amount of work Chano and I was able to do before we bring the committee members, we couldn't do half of it once all these people came on board. But the beauty of it is all of those people came on board. Because people were saying, everybody we called, almost everybody said, this is not going to work. Only a few of them said, you know what, do this. We really need this in New York. Okay, and I have to say, once they came on board, they did start working. Yes, the arguments kept happening, but they did start working. There were a lot of people like Saul Keta, Saul Menga, Sawane, Paseku Kujabi, so many. They were working so hard. And Lamin Drami at that time was working on a lot of things. Now, they had their meetings. They would have in-person meetings. And when they had in-person meetings at one of them, they decided that Lamin Darboe, who's related to Ousseynou Darboe, is going to be the liaison between the organizing committee and the embassy, the UN embassy. Now, I said to Chano and I discussed, and at that time we said, although we have started talking to Tangara, Dr. Tangara, and we have even started talking to Ibumane, Ambassador Ibumane, And he was very supportive. He said, I'll talk to, you know, the people on the ground. You know, he was very supportive of it. I said, since they have decided to assign someone to be the liaison, let's stop that communication. Let's share with the group all our communications we've had with Tangara up to that point, and then we won't talk to Tangara anymore because we don't want them to think we're going behind their back. So we left the communication with Lawyer Darboe. But the problem we were having, Lawyer Darboe a lot of times was not coming into the group. Now, I don't know whether because he was busy. We had a WhatsApp group with all the committee members, and then we had subgroups with all the subcommittees. For example, the Organizing and Planning Committee, the Outreach Committee, the Speakers Committee, all have their subgroups. But people would ask questions about, okay, did the embassy tell us what date? He would not respond. For a week, he would not respond. Finally, we got tired and said, okay, you know what? We need someone to go to Lawyer Darboe and work with him. And they assigned, I think it was, I'm trying to remember, Sawane, Mamadou Sawane, and one more person. I want to say it was Paseku Kujabi, that they said, okay, go to him and say, you know what, from now on, we're going to work with you because you don't respond to our requests. You're not telling us what the embassy is saying. He will just wait until he feels like it sometime. He'll just come and tell us something. Like, you know what, this cannot happen. It was not even asking us. It was a directive. And he would say, this is coming from the embassy or the people on the ground. We couldn't even get a date commitment until Lamin Drame, my co-MC at the time, he has a relationship with the Secretary General of Federa, who happened to be here at a meeting. This was way before the UN meeting. So Federa was here for a meeting. Lamin Drame knows him. Lamin Drame invited him to his house at a meeting and called Siddiq there, called the borough president, representative, what's the guy's name, Alassane Diop, and a few other committee members. The rest of the committee members were not aware of it, but they had their meeting, and then he came out of that meeting and posted a date and said that there's a commitment. Federa, the Secretary General, have committed that September 23rd, he will make sure that the president stay one day because the president then was going to leave. President Barrow was going to leave on Friday the 22nd, but the Federa has committed that he will work to make sure that the 23rd is the date. So we were able to go back to the borough president again and said, okay, the commitment is there for the 23rd. And they told us, well, Alassane Diop said, well, I knew because I was at that meeting anyway. So that's how we had the date. Now, as we progressed, the same issues kept coming up with the embassy. We couldn't communicate with them. Every time we say Lawyer Darboe something, he doesn't respond. Now, again, I don't know whether he was busy or he was just ignoring it. He would come in once in a while and just post a directive, but he wouldn't respond to it when people are asking. Meanwhile, we were being told that behind the scenes there were all kinds of craziness. One example, when I was initially writing the letters to the borough president, to the United African Congress, and to the embassy, because we had not brought the New York host committee together yet. I was using my company letterhead because it doesn't look good to just have a paper without any letterhead. Professionally, those of you who are professional and you do professional communications, you know that to look professional, you want a letterhead. And of course, we were not going to come up with just some letterhead. We wanted the group to do it. So I was using my company letterhead, Signara Global Solutions, and writing the letters. It came to my notice that this had become an issue. What they were fighting over was that why is Sigga's letterhead being used? What? She wants to get free advertisement. Her letterhead had gone all the way to the UN and to the borough president. And I was laughing. I'm like, you guys, you don't know that we've been talking to the borough president. Some of those people who were saying that didn't even know how the borough president came to the table. So I said, you know, this is just Gambia. So we decided, okay, you know what? Actually, we scheduled a meeting. I scheduled a meeting, I and Chadno, for the borough president to meet with a select number of people from the New York community leaders, and they went and met. I think Paseku Kujabi was one of them, Alaji Ibu Cham, I believe Fatima Sahra, Jaju might be her last name, and maybe Solket. A few people went. At that meeting, they discussed with the borough president how the partnership was going to happen, and also they discussed the day, they discussed what we need from them, how they can support us. They also discussed that, you know what, why doesn't the group come up with some official name and come up with their own letterhead, since this letterhead issue is becoming an issue. They think that I'm getting free advertisement, which is so funny to me, because what they don't realize is my organization has been to, since the Ebola, I've been working with those partners that they were thinking that this is giving me free advertisement. So it was very funny to me. I'm like, Gambians, you just gotta love them. So anyway, so we came up with the letterhead. All these letters, I was the one writing it. Charno wrote a couple of them, but the press releases, all the letters, and you know, they were still they'll still tell me, go write this letter. And I'm telling them, you know, and at the same time, they were saying that we must have an agenda behind their closed doors. I say, you know what, you guys, I get paid a certain amount of money per hour. I'm not going to say it here, but I know what I get paid an hour when I do my consulting. And I've spent probably 100 and something hours on this, half of it with people just arguing that I'm not going to get paid. I have projects that are even being delayed. And you guys are sitting here telling me that I'm getting, I mean, really, some people were convinced that there was some agenda that I had. I mean, I'm just like, man, our people, you gotta love them. Anyway, moving on. So now we get to the point that Chano and I find ourselves in the speakers subcommittee, and a number of other, all the subcommittees, they had put our name there. And one of them was the speakers committee. In the speakers committee, they were supposed to select speakers. For weeks, we kept following them, telling them select speakers. But apparently, the selection of speakers has become a problem, because people wanted to, what we were being told were a couple of things. We already started hearing that the government doesn't want us to do an award, they don't want us to do a question and answer, and that they want to select who's going to speak. We said, oh, it's going to be a fight, because that ain't going to happen. And I said, I don't care what, if I have to walk away now, that is not going to happen. We were all, and a lot of people were saying, the people like Paseku, people like Saul Keita, a lot of people. So now, on the day of, no, a week before the selection, they finally scheduled the selection for the speakers and to decide how the agenda was going to happen. They announced that they were going to have a meeting in person in New York to select the speakers. I said, okay, but Chano and I are part of that committee who are supposed to select the speakers. How can you guys make sure that we participate via phone? Because what I had done up to that point was provided the conference phone number for my business. That's what we were using all along. I said, can one of you call into the conference line so the channel and I can participate in the selection of the speakers? They said, nope, this is an in-person meeting, so if you're not here in person, I'm sorry, but you cannot participate. And I'm just like, okay, this is interesting. We've been working with you guys all this time. Now you're telling us that we've done a lot of conference calls, but now you're telling us that we cannot participate in this if we're not there in person. But I decided, you know what? I am actually supposed to meet with the Senegalese delegation, etc., on some business issues. I'm going to go early. So that Saturday, I flew in here. I heard that was a big issue too. They were talking amongst themselves, oh my God, Sigga flew in here just for this meeting. Actually, it was not just for that meeting. I just came a little early. I was supposed to have some meetings on Tuesday and Wednesday with some people who were coming here for my business, but I decided to fly in on Saturday instead. And I showed up at the meeting, and they're like, oh, you know, you cut us off unawares. But when I went to the meeting, I have to say everybody was actually nice. Maybe they expected me to be a different person than I was in person. They were much nicer in person than they were on the phone. Everybody was really nice. So now, what happened was, once I was there, they were having a meeting, and that meeting, guys, oh my God. Okay, let me backtrack a little bit. Before that meeting, we came up, actually, Tangara called Charno. Charno called me and said, Tangara just called me. I had called you earlier to put you on the phone, because remember I told you that every time Charno and I have a work something that we do. If somebody calls you and regarding business, you connect the other person, so you'll have a witness. He said, I called you, but you didn't answer. I said I was on a business call. He said, Tangara called me. He said that the advanced team is here and they want to see the program agenda immediately, and they want to see, no, let me change that, sorry, not the advanced team. The advanced team was already there, but it was the Secret Service. He said that the Secret Service says they want to see the agenda immediately, and that they would also like to go with someone at some point to go see the venue, so that they can check it out, make sure that security, everything, that they, you know, that they have their security plan. But that by tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. I'm having a meeting with the Secret Service, and they need to see the agenda. So what we did at the time, we went into the WhatsApp group and we posted a list of and said, listen, Tangara wants this, who can volunteer for us to develop the agenda immediately? Nobody responded. So instead of the big group, we went into our outreach group. The outreach group is me, Sol Menga, Paseku Kujabi, and Charnoba. There's a lot of documentation, etc., that we ended up doing it because people will not respond. You know how Gambians are when we go in the group. They were busy making ashobis. First of all, I wasn't there when the asobi was agreed to, because I told everybody I'm not wearing anybody's asobi. Now, if it was an asobi that had the Gambian flag, I would wear it all day. But it is nothing personal against Barrow. I think that H.E. Adama Barrow, especially after talking to him, is a great person. But I don't edify human beings. I campaigned for Obama, and I never even wore a T-shirt. In 2008, I campaigned for Obama, and I never even wore a T-shirt with his face. I wore a T-shirt with his message, but I don't, because Africa, our problem, like Obama said, is that we create strong men instead of creating strong institutions. This is how we build dictators. I was not going to wear anybody's face on my body. Now, if they had the Gambian flag on the asobi, I'll be the first one to wear it. But I say I'm not buying any asobi with somebody's face on it. It's nothing personal. I actually like President Barrow, and I respect him after talking to him personally. But I just don't wear people's faces. Obama or whoever. Okay. So now they were busy doing the SOB and all this. They even created a separate WhatsApp group, all of this. Now, they did tell us that they were going to plan their things anyway. But that, you know, that New York was going to plan their thing anyway. But it's a good thing that we started it early. My sister said that to us the first time we called him. Because one of the things Chano and I did at the beginning when Sol Menga and all of these people were giving us phone numbers was we created a database. I still have that database on WhatsApp. And I can share, I mean, not WhatsApp, sorry, on Google Drive, I can share the database. The database actually grew bigger. But we started calling each community member, because we noticed that when you email, people don't respond. When you put in the WhatsApp group or you text people, they don't respond. But some people, we will call them 2-3 times and say, this is what we're trying to do. Initially, a lot of them were, you know, they were not on board, but finally they would agree. In the end, we just allowed the New York people themselves to call each other. So because we couldn't keep calling everybody. All the people that came on board. Now, let me see where I stopped. Okay, so now Tangara says that he needed this schedule, this agenda. Nobody responded. So the 4 of us who were in the outreach group, Paseku Kujabi, myself, Sigga Jagne, Chernoba from Minnesota, and Sol Menga from New York, and Paseku Kujabi from New York, we worked on an agenda. Late at night, I can tell you for almost 2 weeks, I didn't sleep, literally. There were times I was having only 2 hours sleep because most of the things we had to keep doing it, especially if it had anything to do with writing or calling people. You know, yes, there was a lot of people who were doing other things as well on the ground in New York, but there was a lot of work that it entailed, especially writing and calling people. So we developed an agenda, stayed up till very late. I think Sol Menga and I ended up on the phone till 4 a.m. or whatever, worked on an agenda. We posted it and said, can people please respond to this agenda? Let us know if it's okay. We have already asked people if they can help volunteer to write an agenda. Nobody responded. Now here's an agenda. Can you please respond? Nobody responded. Then finally the next day, people started writing, this agenda is illegal or whatever the word is they were using. This cannot be used. And we have told the UN group to ignore it. At that moments like that is when Lawyer Darboe would come in and tell us this is not going to be used. We said, listen, this is a draft. We said it's a draft. There's a reason why it's a draft. A draft is for you to take it and change it. But we had to respond by 2 p.m. We told Tangara, Ambassador Tangara, when we sent it to him, that it was a draft. So the idea is, when the meeting happens on Saturday, that meeting that they said they were only going to do in person, and I ended up flying in early and being at that meeting, I said, you guys sit down and look at that agenda and change it as you want it. They know it's a draft, but we had to have something. Well, you would think that we had committed a crime. And now remember that we had already asked people to volunteer to draft it, the agenda. Nobody responded until we took it upon ourselves, drafted something as a draft, shared it with them, and now it was a problem. Draft. Went to the meeting, back and forth argument about how this agenda. Meanwhile, we made sure we printed a copy of the draft and brought it for people to look at. Say, at least let's use this as the starting point for the conversation. Oh no, back and forth, argument, back and forth. But finally, I have to say, they agreed on an agenda. The agenda looked almost exactly like what we had already drafted. Now, this is after 4 hours of arguing. The agenda that we had drafted so many days ago pretty much was adopted with little changes here and there. Now, I see Siddiq Y has joined us, the Siddiq Y that I had mentioned before. So Siddiq is here. I'm glad he is. And I know that some of our committee members are here because I purposefully send it to them, because I don't talk behind people's backs. The reason why I decided to talk, because I am the only one being attacked because I was in the forefront. So at that meeting, I think it was the 16th, I arrived here in New York and came, Sol Menga picked me up. I went straight to that meeting in the same clothes. I hadn't even eaten all day because my flight was delayed in Atlanta. I hadn't even eaten anything all day. I went there. You know, we didn't get out of that meeting till 9:30. And I have to say, Lamin Drame's wife, who was very generous and very sweet, you know, was absolutely nice to me and got me some food and all of that. But anyway, after all the arguments, one of the things that was an issue was the MC. One young lady, Aissatou Diallo, volunteered and said she wants to be the MC. And people said, no, Lamin Drame is going to be the MC. That was the person who became my, my co-MC. And then, a few people challenged him. I think it was Momodu Sawane, like to ask him, has he ever done any MCing? And he said that he had done MCing with Siddiq Y, who is on this here. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying what he said, that he has done MC for the commissioner for the New York Police Department before with Siddiq Y, and that he's experienced and he can do it. So we said, okay, Lamin Drame. And then somebody said, okay, we need a man and a woman. So that young lady, Aissatou Diallo, again said, I want to be the MC. And they said, no, how about Sigga? I can't remember who was the first person to say, how about Sigga? I was sitting there, I was quiet the whole time because I was just flabbergasted at the level of arguments and everybody talking at the same time. This is what I was doing. I was sitting next to Bucks Jagne, and Bucks was shaking and laughing at me like, Sigga, you look bewildered. I said, I don't even know how to deal with this. Anyway, and I had called Charnoba and put him on the phone so he can hear, but he couldn't hear because everybody was talking at the same time, so he hung up. But anyway, at some point, they decided that, they voted unanimously that, okay, I must be also part of the MCs. And at that point, I said, you know what? I really appreciate it, but let me say this. You have a young lady here who's also from New York, Aissatou Diallo, and she has volunteered twice now. Since she wants it, why don't you give it to her? I will be here and I would support her. And actually, to be honest with you, I told them, I think that I would be best behind the scenes because I have experience putting on conferences. I have done press conferences with my governor in Kentucky a few times. My staff, who used to be my staff when I was the director of the HIV/AIDS program in Kentucky for 7 years, would see this. They're on Facebook. They are my friends. I've done press conferences with our governor for funding that we brought in to Kentucky to announce it and different projects. For those 7 years, we had two conferences every year. The African American and Latino Leadership Conference on HIV/AIDS and our medical conference every year. One conference always had between 400 to 800 people. The other conference had, anywhere between, there were years when it was low, when we had about 2,000, and years when we had about 4,000. And I have spoken on the stage on the stage of the U.S. Conference on AIDS in Orlando. I believe it was in 2009 or 2010. I can't remember exactly. this conference has over 20,000 people around the world, the U.S. Conference on AIDS. I have spoken as a plenary speaker on that hall. So for me, I don't need this to be noticed or whatever, you know. So I said, but I do have experience arranging conferences, and it's never easy, even with professionals, and I know how our people are. So I think that my expertise might be useful behind the scenes, because sometimes you can plan and plan, but on the day of, when things happen, so many things go haywire. So they needed someone who could be like a bandmaster, who would work with a team and really make sure everything falls into place. They said, nope. At that time, it was the New York community now. The same people who were very iffy about me, but once again, I say, when they saw me in person, I have to say something changed. I don't know whether it's because what they thought I was going to be, I wasn't. All of a sudden, all of them were really sweet. And I also really liked them and got along. And this is why you shouldn't judge people until you meet them. You know, when they met me, they were so sweet, and, you know, we were having a good time. They just, you know, we really enjoyed each other at that meeting. So I was like, you see, it was good that I came to this meeting. They saw me in person. Maybe, I don't know whether it's my voice or whatever, maybe I came off in a way that they thought, I don't know what they were expecting. But it was very different, you know, when I went there in person. So now, 3 times, I kept telling them, no, I don't want to be the MC. 3 times they said, nope. We think you have to be the MC. Okay, finally, I said, okay. Because, no, finally, I said to Jallo, I said, you know what? Okay, Sigga, why don't you be the MC? But first, let me ask you, what have you ever done? Which I think was a legitimate answer. Do you have experience hosting this big a conference? I just told her the same thing I told you guys. I've worked with our governor, did press conferences with our governor. I've had, for 7 years, each year I had 2 conferences, one, you know, between, you know, 400 up to 800 people, one between had 2,000 up to, you know, so many thousands. And I've, you know, sat on the board of the national NASTA, the National Alliance of State and Territorial AIDS Directors, which consists of all the directors of the HIV/AIDS and STD around the 50 states and the territories of the US, and I've been their vice chair, and we put on conferences every year, and I've spoken on stages that have 20,000 people. She said, okay, good. So Sigga, why don't you be it? So she agreed that, she volunteered that she would be the one, I said to Jallo volunteered that she would be the one to escort Barrow in the hall, that she's okay with that, and let me be the MC. I said, okay, fine. But I have to say, when we left there, Saul Menga is my witness. I kept telling him, Saul, I don't know about even me being the MC. Honestly, I think that I need to be behind the scenes. I said it to him several times. I said it to Ibrahim Ndour several times. I even called the next day. I said it to Antimati. All of them, they kept saying, no, Sigga, you have to be the MC. I said, okay, fine. I'll take it. Now, nobody had a gun on my head. It was just that I thought that maybe anybody could be the MC, but where they might need my expertise was behind the scenes. They decided that that was not the case. I went with it. Somehow I feel with my gut instincts that I wish I had actually stuck to that. Because sometimes I think when I ignore my gut instincts, that's where the problem lies. Okay, so moving forward, we started having issues starting 2 weeks before the event. Was it 2 weeks or a week? Once the advanced team, H.E. Barrow's advanced team came, we started hearing Lawyer Darboe at that time will come and tell us that Alkali Conte is leading. Alkali Conte, who used to, I've worked with him on several things, and he lives in, he used to live in North Carolina. I've been to his home, eating dinner there when we were doing the rally conference with them, where, you know, I've spoken at that conference as well. I think the rally conference was 2012. But Alkali, of course, has gone back home in Gambia, and he is the ambassador at large. Alkali Conte, they were saying, at this time we hadn't talked to Alkali directly yet, but we were hearing either Lawyer Darboe will come and write something, or we will hear through Lamin Drame or through Momodou Sawane that Lawyer Darboe says, that Alkali Conte says that the award will not happen and the question and answer will not happen. And we're like, no, it's going to happen, because this is our event. This is not the government's event. We're inviting them. So this back and forth kept going on. Then we learned, and I see that Momodou Sawane has joined us as well. So one of the things I did, again, is that when I was about to do this, when I announced that I was going to do this, I sent my message to the committee. All of our subcommittees also, I posted the message there, and I inboxed some of the committee members because I want them to be here. I don't say anything behind people's backs. Because I try my level best to say things as I know it because I heard it, or I saw it, or somebody told me. And in any situation where somebody told me, I will say the name of the person that told me. If you didn't want me to say your name, you shouldn't have told me. Okay. So, now, sorry guys, please don't call me. I'm using my cell phone, so if you call me, it's going to interrupt the session. So please don't call me. So, now, we heard that they had a meeting with Sawane, who is on this line, with Alkali and Lawyer Darboe and a few people. Sawane told me, Sawane is right here. I'm not lying because he's right here on this thread. Momodu Sawane of New York told us when we were going to go visit the hall that he had a meeting with Alkali and that no, he actually didn't say. They say they don't want this to happen. They told us that it's not going to happen. He said this is not going to happen. And even at the meeting where we were choosing the speakers, the first day I flew in and went straight to that meeting where they chose me, as the MC. They said Sawane said, oh, the award is not going to happen. The government doesn't want it. Lawyer Darboe was at that meeting. He didn't say much. The only time he spoke, he was the one that recommended that Lamin Drame, my co-MC, becomes the MC. That's mainly what he said. He kept getting up, going on his phone and talking. Now, I heard some people say that he was talking to Alkali. I'm not going to lie. I didn't hear who he was talking to. I don't know who he was talking to. But a couple of people said, yes, he's talking to Alkali. He might have been, or he could have been talking to his wife or a friend. I really don't know. All I know is he kept getting up, talking on his phone. I don't know what he was talking about. He will come back. He hardly ever said anything, except for he was the one that said that Lamin Drame is going to be the MC. Now, I think one of the times he got up, that's when the committee nominated me to be the co-MC. So I think that he wasn't even aware that I have been nominated as the MC. So what happened, when we posted the agenda that I posted earlier with my announcement, he saw it. And then he come, I think this was on Wednesday before the event. He saw it and he come on, so that would be Wednesday, let's say 18, 19, the 20th. I believe it's either Wednesday, the 20th, or the Tuesday, the 19th. I can't remember. He came on the thread and said, Lamin, and he's not a man of many words. He would just write one sentence most of the time, and usually when you ask him, he doesn't respond. He came and wrote that Lamin Drame is going to be the MC. Well, that's what we chose. Why is Sigga Jagne's name on there? So I saw it. I came and I said, good morning, Mr. Lawyer Darboe. Can you please clarify? Because you just said that the MC, he didn't even say, ask a question. He gave a statement, which is usually what he does. He gave a command. He said, Lamin Drame is going to be the MC. I said, the majority chose, and they voted, and to be honest with you, I didn't even want it. But until the majority decide, that cannot change. Now, if the majority come back and say, you know what, we just want Lamin Drame, some are fool. It really didn't matter to me. But you cannot come, one person, and change something that the group has decided and voted on unanimously. He didn't say anything. 15 minutes later, he didn't respond to me. I went and wrote on the thread, and I can give you a snapshot of that thread with that conversation, if anybody denies it. I looked at the thread and I said, okay, I'm waiting for your response. He didn't say anything. 30 minutes later, I went there. I said, you know what? Until you respond and clarify, nothing here is going to change. Because this was voted. I don't even want to be the MC, to be honest with you, but this was voted by a committee. Until that committee come. Now, the moment the committee come and change their decision, that happens. But you, as a one person, cannot unilaterally come and change something that the committee did. I mean, that's not how you do business. You know, you can't override. That's dictatorship. You can't override something that 20 people voted unanimously in. I mean, who made you God? Anyway, so now this guy, later on he came and said, he wrote one sentence. Again, he's not a man of many words, apparently. He came and wrote on there that, oh, we voted for Lamin Drame. I said, no, maybe you were out of the room the many times you got up, but actually, after Lamin Drame, including Lamin Drame, they all voted that I would be the second MC. And some of the reasonings they gave was that they also wanted somebody from out of state so that, you know, people from out of state would not say this is just a New York thing. We said we agreed now. But they went the next day and had a meeting with Alkali Conte on the phone. Momodu Saware told me he's on this thread. He is the one that told me. So, and he's not going to deny it. He told me, he told Charnoba, he told Solmenga that you guys had a meeting on the phone and that Alkali Conte told you, no, he didn't ask you. He told you that I will not be the MC, that only Lamin Drame will be the MC, and that there will be no question and answer and there will be no award ceremony. And we said over our dead body. Because Alkali Conte is not our mother or our father. We've been working on this, all of us together. We made a decision. How dare he come and tell us something? Now, what he could have done is what he ended up doing. Call us to a meeting and we sit down and he gives us reasons and we negotiate. But you don't send somebody and then tell us that by force this is what's going to happen. What kind of dictatorship is this? We fought to get out of dictatorship. You are not going to come to tell us as an ambassador at large that this is what's going to happen. Maybe you have good reasons. He might have had good reasons, but you have to come and talk with people. You don't send one person or meet with groups from the committee and tell them that this is what's going to happen, and they come and tell us. And those people seem like they were scared to question it. So we decided, because Siddiq Y is on this thread as well. Hopefully he's still on. I saw that he joined early. I'm sure somebody told him to join. I saw Siddiq Y had recommended. He said to us, you guys, you are not making use of the opportunity that you have. He said, here you have the borough president of Manhattan. The borough president of Manhattan has one of the richest boroughs in New York, businessman, Wall Street, you name it. He said, let me tell you what the Chinese did last year. They led a delegation here and met with her. And from that, they got a lot of businesses and investors that went to China and to invest there. He said, now you guys are not making good use of this opportunity. He told us, do you guys know that the borough president actually has a son who's a teenager that he adopted from Gambia, whose name Mo Sumbundu. So she has an emotional connection to Gambia. You guys need to leverage this so that it doesn't just stop here. Be smart and have a courtesy call so that the borough president can go meet with your president, and just a courtesy call, and have them talk and plan for the borough president to lead a delegation to the Gambia of investors. He said, that's what you do. We thought about it, we said, actually, that's a very smart thing to do. So at that time, we had called Ambassador Tangara. We, as in myself, Charnoba, I think Saul Keta, the outreach committee, and Saul Menga. When we called Ambassador Tangara and told him what we wanted to do, he said, okay, that sounds like a really good thing. I would do my best to work with the protocol, Alaji Cisse, and the advanced team, Alkali Conte, to make sure it happens. We'll let you know. He said, I think it's going to be Thursday, but just let the borough president know that it's going to be most likely Thursday, but we don't know a time yet. So we went to Alassane and told him, and he said, man, the borough president is Rosh Hashanah. Both Thursday and Friday, her schedule is full. So I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll try. So they were working on this thing. Wednesday, we went to see the hall. Again, when we went to see the hall, Modu Sawane told me personally that, again, Alkali had told them that there would be an award ceremony and that there would not be question and answer, and that the MC is only going to be one MC, is Lamin Drame. I said, okay, we're going to see if that's going to happen. I don't care if the committee come and decide that they have Banba sending, I may argue against it, or that they have Tama, Olaf, I may argue against it, but as long as the committee decides, that's what's going to happen. But one person is not going to come here and dictate to us. That one, I told them that day, me and Chadno, that if we have to go to CNN, if we have to go to NBC, wherever, we'll go say it. But these people are not going to come and dictate to us. So now what ended up happening, we decided, okay, when the embassy, Ambassador Tangara called us Wednesday late at night and said, okay, tomorrow you guys can come at, I think, 11 o'clock. Yeah, 11 o'clock to meet the president with the borough president. So we called Alassane immediately. Sorry, no, it was not late at night. He called us whilst we were still on that Wednesday visiting the hall to see and to meet and decide. Even that meeting, when we went to that meeting to see the hall, argument, argument, talking at the same time. I mean, I'm like, oh my God. I mean, it was like unbelievable. So now I have to say, even though all these things was happening, people were very genuine and they were also doing a lot of work. But it was just anything that we have to agree on. Argument. I mean, grown people were acting like they were 2 years old. I'm sorry. I don't mean to insult anybody, but I'm just telling the truth as I know it and witnessed it. And I'm hoping that in saying these things, people can see themselves and see where they're correct. And I hope that where I'm wrong myself, I would see where I need to correct myself as well. That it will be a growth and expansion. I'm not saying this just to malign people. I'm saying this for us to collectively look at ourselves and change, starting with myself, for the better. You know, I mean, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know if God caused us or what, but God, please help us. I actually prayed during this process because it was just like unbelievable, anything we had to agree on. Anyway, that meeting, hulo, talking at the same time. Auntie Mati even got mad. I don't know, Auntie Mati was calling me earlier. I hope she's on the train. She even got mad and stood up and said, you guys, we are not children. You guys need to listen and stop shouting at each other. You know, I'm just like, huh? So then, during that meeting, whilst we were at the hall, looking at the hall, is when Cherno called me. Cherno was still in Minnesota and said that, hey, you know, Ambassador Tangar had called and that the Manhattan Borough President can come tomorrow with some members of your committee to come and meet the President so they can talk about opportunities for investment in Gambia. So Alassane Job, who the Senegalese brother who was representing the Manhattan Borough President, was there at the time. We immediately told him, and he was kind of annoyed. He's like, no. You know, it's late. It's like 7 p.m. or whatever. And, you know, the Borough President is Rosh Hashanah. I don't have time. They're just not going to have time. You know, we said, no, but you just have to do it. We called Siddiq Y and told him that night also, you know. And, but he said, well, I'm going to try my best. I'm calling, but they said that her schedule is full. I said, okay, if her schedule is full, can you get her deputy or somebody? He said, I'll try. Anyway, until that morning, we were still trying. But it so happened that her schedule, what she was doing for Rosh Hashanah, from what Alassane told us, she was out of state or out of the city, one of those. She might have been in New York, but in another city, so she couldn't make it. They said, okay, maybe she can call on the phone, or can somebody else come. We ended up Alassane coming with us. Siddiq Y came with us. So we decided, you know what? We've been hearing that Alkali Conte keeps saying that the president says that there shouldn't be an award. That at this point, we have also heard from Tangara. This was Wednesday night. That they're all saying, Tangara was saying the protocol says. But at that point, we hadn't talked to Alkali Conte yet. But the people who were relaying messages from Alkali Conte were saying, Alkali Conte says that there would be no question and answer, there would be no award ceremony, and that the MC is one person. We said, okay. But they said, usually they would say, Alkali Conte says, the president says. We said, okay, we're about to have a meeting with the president. We're going to ask him. You know, he's going to tell us he said it or he didn't, because we suspected that it was not the president saying that. I mean, that's a lot of, I mean, to be honest, a lot of bureaucracy happens that way. You know, they want you to do something, they say the person at the top said it. You know, so we knew the game. We knew that it was not the president. So we said, okay, guess what? We're supposed to go tomorrow to meet the president. We're going to ask His Excellency Adama Barrow if he's the one that actually said that. And if he did, we will give him our reasoning why we think that that's not a good idea. I think that he's a reasonable man. We can convince him. So when we got there, Ambassador Tangara comes down to take us upstairs. Siddiq Y is here on this thread. Who else went? Paseku Kujabi, Lamin Drame, who was my co-MC, Alaji Ibucham, Sol Menga. I'm trying to remember if Modu Sawane went. As soon as we went there, Auntie Mati Njai also went. Some guy showed up who is staunch UDP. He was on the hall. He was part of the committee. This guy named Trawale showed up. We didn't even know how he knew about it. He showed up. The other thing that kept happening, my co-MC, the one that supposedly they said Alkali Conte said that he should be the only MC, that I shouldn't be. He wouldn't come. He stayed outside talking to someone on the phone. And a couple of people said to me, including Saul Keita, he's talking to Saul. I'm sorry, but like I said, I promised people that I'm going to say who told me what. That Lamin Drame is talking to Alkali Conte. He stayed out there for the longest. He never came in. He was on the phone. Finally, he came in. When he came in, I challenged him. I said, who were you talking to all this time? We're sitting here, all of us together. You're standing outside talking on the phone. I remember Siddiq. Siddiq is on the line, even getting mad because he asked, where's Lamin? Because Lamin is a good friend of Siddiq's. And we said, Lamin is outside talking on the phone. And Siddiq said, well, why would he be outside talking on the phone? We're ready to go. Why is he standing outside talking on the phone? Let me go and get him. And Siddiq went out there. But when Lamin finally came in, I challenged him and said, who were you talking to on the phone? He said, nobody. And then he also, when he said that, then he turned around and said, I was talking to Alkali Conte. I said, oh, okay. Lamin Drame at that point said he was talking to Alkali Conte. Ambassador Tangara came in the room and said, okay, you guys ready? We said, oh, we're still waiting for the borough president's representative, Alassane Diop. He's almost here. Finally, Alassane came. At that time, he briefed us. He said, when you guys go up there, the protocol and Alkali, the ambassador would like have said that you should not discuss the agenda with the president. Don't bring up the agenda with the president at all. And Timothy got mad. I got mad. Pasek, we said, like, well, why? We said, why should we not bring up the agenda? I said to Ambassador Tangara, with all due respect, would we go and talk to our president with? You're not going to tell us. He said, no, it's not me. I'm just relaying what the team is saying. I said, with all due respect, we're going to go up there and have a conversation with our president. We're Gambian just like everybody else. You're not going to tell us what we talked to him about, you know. So then he said to us, well, I said, okay, by the way, I've been hearing that you guys are saying this award ceremony and this Q&A is not going to happen. He said, at that point, Ambassador Tangara said, well, you don't surprise a president. I said, how are we surprising him? We gave you guys the agenda since when? I said, and how are we surprising him? Did I not write a letter since July and send it to you? He said, well, but that letter didn't have the detail of the agenda. I said, we didn't know the agenda then. But 2 weeks ago, about either 2 weeks, I believe, to a little more than a week, Alkali Conte have gotten the agenda and you have gotten the agenda. So how are we surprising him? He said, well, we follow a format. We've seen, the president follows a format wherever he goes. And that format is that he does, people make statements. They don't do question and answer. And no award ceremony. And then he challenged me at that point. Ambassador Tangara challenged me. And I have to say, Tangara had been very helpful because I was one of the people that have demonstrated against him several times. But even though we were back and forth, it was a civilized back and forth. Respectfully, he would listen, we talk, and then we would listen and he talk. And that's what mature dialogue should be. So Ambassador Tangara at that time says that, oh, you know what? By the way, before you guys decide to award someone, did you guys figure out whether that person has a good relationship with their president, with their own president, before you decide to award them? I said, with all due respect, Ambassador Tangara, we're not awarding these people for their relationship with their president. We're awarding them as friends of the Gambia because of the work they did with us. Because of the fact that for 22 years they stood by us, they opened doors for us, that they gave us resources. For example, Siddiq Y took us, when Fatou Camara in 2014 was beaten by Jammeh's security force, who took us to see the Homeland Security people. He made a meeting for me in front of the Homeland Security people to tell them, a presentation to tell them what happened so that they can follow up and prosecute the case. He put us in front of one of the lawyers. I know Pasamba Jau is here. Pasamba will remember him. He's a revered activist lawyer. Very expensive guy, celebrated lawyer. He put us in front of that guy, and that guy, because of his relationship with Siddiq, wrote a letter to the State Department about the case. This guy, we would never have been able to pay him because as an organization or as a group of activists, we didn't have that kind of money unless one of us decided to sponsor it. I said, and many things. Jeffrey Smith over here, all these people. So we don't really care what their relationship is with their own president. That's not why we are. Ron Kuby. Aha, somebody just posted it. Ronald Kuby, K-U-B-Y, from New York. He's an activist lawyer, celebrated lawyer, very well known. Siddiq put us in front of him, and he wrote a letter to the State Department. Although it took the State Department a year until after 2014, after December 30th, before they sent us a letter telling us what they did with the case. It took that long. But at least something was done. And he followed up. He wrote them a letter, gratuity. Somebody who we never could have been able to pay. I gave him those kind of examples. I said, these are the reasons why we're awarding them. We're not awarding them. I said, for example, for us, for 22 years, we had a bad relationship with our president. So should somebody hold on to an award that we were meritorious of because we didn't like Yaya Jammeh? We had a bad relationship with Yaya Jammeh. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. He kept quiet. But then he went back to, well, we have a template. I said, okay, well, you know what? We're going to figure this out. So when we went upstairs, we had already met about how we were going to talk to the president. Of course, the priority issue was to discuss opportunities, introduce ourselves, congratulate the president on his very good speech at the UN, how proud we were, because you know our former president used to say all kinds of crazy things at the UN, and we're all embarrassed to be Gambians. And H.E. Barrow's speech was amazing, was good. I mean, it made you proud. If you're a Gambian with a heart, you know, it should make you proud. For the first time, we can actually lift our heads in front of the international community and not act like, be embarrassed to say that we're Gambians in 22 years. So now, when we went upstairs to meet with President Barrow, who was very cordial, I have to say very nice. I tend to think that I'm a good judge of character. I'm not always 100% right, but when I talk to people one-on-one, he actually was very personable, and I felt that he was very sincere. I remember one of the conversations we had with him was, President Barrow said that, he said he does not want to stay in power for the longest. That's the problem with Africa. He said that when he was at the UN, he gave us this story and we all laughed. He said when he was at the UN, President Museveni asked him, well, when is Africa going to be united so we can be powerful? He said to him, well, whenever African leaders stop staying there forever, that's when we will be able to be united, because all of you, everybody wants power and want to hold on to power, and they don't want to join together. But until people stop being power hungry and wanting to stay forever, no time limits, until people do that, then we will not be able to come together and have a united Africa. And that really touched my heart. And he said, I'm a revolutionary. He even gave us, he said, you know, the problem with Africa sometimes is that, he said, I'm a revolutionary. He said, the problem with Africa sometimes is that, this is President Barrow speaking. He said, the problem, and he was looking directly at me because I was sitting across from him and Pa Sekudem was sitting on the sides. And President Barrow said, this is the problem with Africa sometimes is this, that the people don't realize their power. He said this. I was sitting there, Pa Seku was sitting there, Sol Menga was sitting there, Sadiq Y was sitting there, I'm trying to remember who else was there. Antimati was sitting there. A lot of people. He said, the people don't realize their power. He said that because what happens is that, he said, take the example of Gambia. He said, me, little Adama Barrow, who was a little businessman, who last year, a year ago, nobody knew me, know my name. Only a few people knew my name. But when the people came together, as powerful as Yaya Jammeh was, we were able to remove him. He said, until African people realize their power. And when he said that, I actually got tearful. Saul Keita pulled out his napkin and gave it to me. The reason why I got tearful, because one of the things that drives me when I get tired of Gambians with their fighting, and I say, you know what, that's it, I'm going to concentrate on my family and my business. I keep saying to myself, Fonjaga's dream. That's actually something I use every day, Fonjaga's dream, to motivate me. Because my brother's dream was nothing other than to see a free Gambia. And when President Barrow said that, it really got to me. And I was not thinking of just my family, but I was thinking of all the families. And I started crying, and I remember they gave me a napkin, and I remember when we got up to hug, he hugged me really tight. President Barrow did, he hugged me really tight, and I said in his ear, I actually whispered in his ear, I said to him, President Barrow, people lost their family members. That a lot of Gambians lost their family members and they lost a lot of things. So I want you to remember that when you're sitting in that chair, people lost loved ones. You can get your material things back, but you can never get a human being back. And when I said that to him in his ear, he pushed me back. He looked in my eyes and he hugged me again. And honestly, maybe people might think that I'm being naive, but I believe the man. But I'll tell you what the problem is. I believe the people surrounding him, they say things that are not things that he is saying. I honestly believe that the man is really sincere. You can tell he's very sincere. If you look in his eyes, and he's just one-on-one talking, you can tell this guy is very sincere. But the people around him is a problem. My worry is that one day he's going to wake up and see that people are demonstrating against him, and he won't even have any idea why people are demonstrating against him. Because anytime you say anything now, these people just jump up on you. They're acting like Yaya Jammeh. They think that everybody hates UDP and everybody hates Barrow. Why would we do that when we fought all this time? Of course, even Barrow's spit is better than Yaya Jammeh. He's not killing people. But some of the things you guys are doing, you're creating a dictator. I bet you that Jammeh wasn't like this in the beginning. You know, I bet you Jammeh wasn't like this in the beginning, but it was people around him that got him to where he was. You have to be very careful. I honestly, with God as my witness, I honestly believe in my heart that President Barrow is very genuine. I feel it. I know it. But it's the people around him. Talking about that, when they said that, okay, so we went there, we congratulated, we talked about the borough president, and he even invited, he said the borough president can lead a delegation to the Gambia. We said, okay, what we're going to do, when we will make sure after this we work with Alassane and the borough president, and we write a letter through your UN ambassador and whatever ambassador to the US ends up coming here to lead to have a delegation go to Gambia. You know, when we said that, he said excellent. And I remember Siddiq Wai also inviting President Barrow to be the keynote speaker for I think he said that they're going to have the first trade, African business trade here in New York City in 2018, and he wants President Barrow to be the keynote speaker. So he invited him on that. Lamin Dramé, who was my co-MC at this point, when it got to his turn, he also said, he brought up, he was the one, I have to give that to him, he was the one that brought up the issue about the program. He said to President Barrow, well, we've been having this problem going back and forth. Your team doesn't want us to do an award, and these are our friends. He pointed to Siddiq Wai. He said, you heard all the things we've all said about Siddiq Wai. Now, would you not want us to award this person? The president did not address that when Lamin Dramé brought it up. I would say, and when Lamin Dramé brought it up, Antimati echoed it, and I also echoed it. I said the same thing. I said they've been telling us that we shouldn't have question and answer. They've been telling us that we shouldn't do an award ceremony, and they've been telling us that the MC, they're going to choose the MC. The president did not address that. When we finished, he had to go to a meeting. He gave a very good statement, strong statement about his commitment and about the diaspora and that we should watch out for his speech, that he's going to talk about how they're going to work with the diaspora. He didn't address, but it was my feeling. Now, this is not scientific, but I had a feeling he did not know what we were talking about. He seemed a little startled when we brought up these points, and he didn't address it. Tangara was sitting there. There's nothing he could do. He told us not to address it, but we brought it up. He was looking at us like, really, you guys are actually going to talk about this? So now this was Thursday night. We didn't get out of there till very late. We left. When we left, we were all talking about, no, not Thursday night, sorry. It was Thursday 11 in the morning. When we left, we, of course, were talking about, we debriefed about what happened and all of this stuff. And then when I had to go to D.C., because that Friday, I was going to attend the Congressional Black Caucus's annual conference. So I traveled to DC that Thursday night, and then Friday was the conference all day, and then I traveled back to New York that Friday night. But before I could get there, I got a call from Charno and from Antimati and several people, and said that Alkali Conte had called Saul Keita and told him that he wanted to meet with our committee regarding the question and answer, regarding the agenda, the question and answer, the award ceremony, and I'm forgetting, the MC. So I couldn't go because I was in DC. I was traveling back. So they went. Chernobyl was flying back. He actually just flew in, and I sent him a message and told him, no matter what you do, join them at the hotel. And he ended up, you know, straight from the airport, went in to join them at the hotel. Now, after that meeting, Antimati called me, Charno called me, Saul called me, Saul Menga, Saul Keita called me. They were all telling me, oh my God, Sigga, there was a fight at the hotel. It was so contentious because they first let Alkali Conte talk, and he talked, I guess their team talked, and they said that yes, there's not going to be a question and answer, that there's not going to be what do you call it, that the MC, you know, that they were going to choose their MC, and that the question and answer, they have a protocol, they have a outline that they follow anywhere that they go, and that if we go back and look at their template, normally people just make their statements, no question and answer. And that the MC, they would choose their MC, and that also, what was the third? I'm forgetting, there's a third thing. The awards, that the awards was not going to happen. So I heard that that room was hot. I was in there because, again, remember, I went to the Congressional Black Caucus meeting. I heard that everybody, speaker after speaker from our team, gave it to them. Left them nothing. I had Perseku got so mad he was hitting the table. I heard that Antimati was just going off on them that, you know what, if you guys want, don't come. And we'll go to the public and tell them why you didn't show up. But that's not going to happen. Now, I heard that the biggest part of it was Baks, Bakari Jaju, because Bakari Jaju started speaking in Mandinka and went off. He caught, I was told, I don't know if that's actually what he did, but that he cursed Alkali and that he cursed Lamin Darboe. Now, remember, Lamin Darboe was supposed to be part of our organizing committee. And he was supposed to be our liaison. He lives in New York, between us and the New York and the UN embassy. He hardly ever comes in and says anything except to come and tell us, give us a command. He was the one that went one day and put a statement, I think it was Wednesday morning, and said that I wasn't going to be the MC. It just had to be Lamin Darboe because that's what was voted. Every time we go to the embassy, he's sitting with Alkali them. There's nothing wrong with that. But basically, it was almost like he was not part of us. He was part of them. So apparently, Bucks went off. And from what I was told, I wasn't there, that he insulted Alkali. That he insulted, now I don't know if that was true, but this is what I was told, that in Mandinka he insulted Alkali, that he insulted Lamin Darboe, Lamin Darboe, not Drame, Lamin Darboe, not my co-MC, but Lamin Darboe, who is related to Uncle Usainu Darboe, and who was supposed to be the committee's liaison with the UN embassy. He started, I heard, with Lamin Darboe and gave it to him, called him all kinds of names, and then went with Alkali, and actually people had to restrain them. Charnoba told me that he picked up Alkali and actually put him in a chair because, and even Sisa Hobojang was like, what is this? That Alkali, you shouldn't react like this because you are representing the Gambia. And Alkali was like, well, my reputation and my whatever is being attacked, so yes, I'm gonna, anyway, it got very heated. Now, the one good thing, that was unfortunate, but the one good thing that came out of that was that in the end, they simmered down and they said, okay, from what I heard, the agreement, when they were leaving, before they left that room, in the end, so Alaji Sise, Alaji Sise left the room. He was like, you know what, that's it. I am not dealing with this craziness, so he left the room. Chando told me that when by the time he got to the hotel, I think Alaji Sise was not there when the fight happened. I mean, Bojang was, because Alaji Sise had left when it got so contentious. So actually, Chando said when he came, Alaji Sise was the one that helped him got up, because you cannot just walk in the hotel. The presidents are there, so they have to. Somebody has to escort you, or you have to have a key. So Alaji helped him get up, but Alaji's like, I'm not going in that room. Alaji Sise is not the one to get into craziness and contentious situations. He was like, I'm a diplomat. I'm not doing this. So he left. So apparently. Now I'm spilling all the tea, like people say. Apparently, they've ended up agreeing that, okay, this is what we're going to do. That we would have the program, and we will, the last 1 hour of the agenda, the president is going to take it. At first, they said that we need to do our award ceremony before the president comes. And we said, no, we're going to do our award ceremony according to our agenda. Because the borough president had a prior commitment that was scheduled months before, and she cannot get there until 2 o'clock. And we wanted the president of the Gambia, our president, to arrive after the dignitaries have arrived, which is the right thing to do. And that we want the borough president to arrive, by the time all, Jesse Jackson and all of these people have arrived, and our awardees, and then the President Barrow will come in, and then Jesse Jackson had to leave at 3 p.m. I even announced it in the hall. And we had to, of course, do the award ceremony early on. Okay, so we said, so we're going to do it in front of President Barrow. President Barrow doesn't have to do it. We'll find our own people to do it. But he can sit there. Doesn't have to do it. Now, what ended up happening is, yes, so they agreed to that. So that they said, okay, now the last 1 hour, that's going to be when their people are going to speak. Meaning, Ambassador Tangara is going to speak, Uncle Usainu Darboe is going to speak, and then H.E. Barrow is going to speak. You know, all of the, when the government speaks, they said that, okay, Ami Bojang Sissoho as the press secretary will facilitate that portion. That's why you saw her facilitating that portion. And that's what they normally do wherever they go. What we found out is that everywhere else that they went to, they co-sponsored those events. They paid for the hall, they paid for other things, but they didn't pay for anything for us. So therefore, this was different. It was not a co-host with the government. This was the community doing their thing and inviting the government. So they cannot dictate to us, which is what we told them. Now, I have to say, I heard that, I wasn't at that meeting again, but I heard that Alkali was gracious enough to say, okay, you know what? We don't even need a whole hour. We'll take 45 minutes and we'll give you 15 minutes to add to your program, because we know you have a lot to do, which was very nice and gracious. When I say it, I say everything as I know it, including I don't care who did good or bad. I'll just say exactly what I know. So Alkali Conte gave an extra 15 minutes to the program. Now, what ended up happening that morning, we come and learn later that night. We come and learn, I think it was, what's his name, that posted, Sawane, Momodu Sawane, who's on this thread, that there's a group, some Nigerians who are working with the deputy mayor of Newark, and that they want to award President Barrow, and that they would like to come and be on the agenda to award President Barrow. We said to them, it's not going to happen. Because here's the thing, if President Barrow refuses, well, let me change that, because I will say that it wasn't President Barrow, from everything I know. So let me change that. If Alkali Conte and the protocol team refuses, for their own reasons, rightfully or not, I didn't agree with it, but they had their reasons. If they refuse to allow President Barrow or to ask President Barrow to give our awards, we're not going to allow him to get an award on our stage either. So we agreed to it. We told them, no, it's not going to happen. We are not going to allow President Barrow to be given an award unless he agrees to handing out our awards. If he cannot hand out our awards, he's not going to get an award on our stage. Right? So we all agreed on that. This is the agreement going into that hall that day. That the only thing that's going to happen is the thing on our agenda. You guys go to my page where I announced, my Facebook page, where I announced this Facebook Live. I have put the agenda there. That was the agenda. Now, one thing we did agree, that agenda, when you look at it, there was a time, the time the Q&A is on that agenda, it was moved up because we wanted to finish our stuff by the time the government come in. That was the agreement. We said President Barrow will not receive any awards on that stage. We will award our folks and we'll walk out. Oh boy, when we got to that hall, everything changed. And I have to be honest and say, what I felt was that my co-MC, again, I'm going to say it exactly as I feel, either something I saw, something I heard, or something somebody told me. And if somebody told me something, I would say who told me exactly what they told me. If you didn't want me to say it, you shouldn't have told me. It's that simple. Okay, so what I feel is that my co-MC was actually adding things to the agenda that were not supposed to be there. At one point, I called him to the side and said, Lamin, what is this? You and I have to be in sync. We have to follow the agenda. And why are you adding all these things to the agenda? And he agreed at that point. He did agree. He said, okay. But he went back to doing the same nonsense he was doing. Okay? Okay, now I have to be honest and say, okay? I have to be honest and say absolutely that that hall was chaotic as God knows what. First of all, I have to say that the amount of people that came, we expected that, okay, maybe the hall might be too full, and we worked on a overflow room that will be the cafeteria, and we said we're going to put a screen there for people to go into, but we didn't expect that many people. That was something that, lesson learned. that we should have prepared for 1,000 people. So that's a lesson learned. We planned on an overflow room. From what I was told, none of them wanted to go in the overflow room. So that's the problem. When we opened the door, people started acting like they were in Serakunda market or Sukuta market, pushing each other, pushing children, pushing. Ajikuma did her video. I didn't see this because I was behind the stage. But some of the things I say, so I saw to the point of somebody walking on the stage where the president is. A seat that was meant for James Gomez, who is the assistant of Jesse Jackson. James Gomez was sitting on the seat and he just got up to take a phone call. This woman walked from downstairs, walked up the stage, grabbed the chair that James Gomez was sitting on, carrying it on her head like this, and walked off the stage. I'm like, James Gomez was looking at me like, what just happened? And I'm looking at him like, how could that happen? So we went to the security and said, what is going on? Can you help us? I think at that point the Secret Service had just given up. They felt like they couldn't control these people. Already, the New York Police Department that were there, including the school security, they had just given up. For example, our reserved, the 2 rows that we reserved as reserved, with paper on it saying reserved, with a tape, yellow tape saying reserved, that was supposed to be for our guests of honor and our awardees. People sat there and they refused to get up. So we either had a choice to get the security to drag them or we let it go. But people refused. I went and begged them. I talked on the phone. People completely refused. People also got on the stage and refused to get down. Refused. They were even fighting. I had a woman fighting on the stage with the borough president's director about a seat. I'm like, what is going on? Somebody help me. I even went to Chano. I said, Chano, you guys gotta help me because I am supposed to be emceeing this thing. I cannot be trying to control the stage. What is going on? This woman is fighting on the stage with the borough president's office about us over a seat. Mama Coco. What is going on? There's a president on the stage. You can't. I went to the president's detail. I went to the Secret Service. I was like, can you people get these people off the stage? I think those people had just given up at this point. I guess they realized that these people are not dangerous and they're not listening unless we had to drag them screaming off the stage. I mean, honestly, I felt like we were in... I was short of putting my hands on my head to say, Mbama Koko. Mbama Denden Koko. What is going on? Like, what is happening here? People walked on the stage, sat on these chairs that they were not supposed to, and you go and tell them you're not supposed to be here. They said, I'm sitting right here. They were grabbing people's chairs. Our guests were looking like, can somebody help us? And I'm looking at them like, I don't know. I can only go to the security. And the security were looking at us like, you're all crazy. We can't deal with this. They probably would never allow us in that school again, ever. You know? Okay. Now, by this time, so many people were surrounding the stage. Our awardees and our guests of honors, when they go to pass, they have to elbow with them. Jesse Jackson is where he's sitting. People are passing by and hitting him on his side. I'm seeing all this out of the corner of my eye. I'm seeing people are coming and talking in my ear. People are coming and pushing me, telling me, Sigga, I'm like, the mic is live. You can't talk to me. Get off the stage. Go and listen to these videos. You'll hear me over and over. Get off the stage. You are grown. These are grown men and women. You're not even embarrassed that you're embarrassing your country. We could have, and honestly, at some point, I was to the point that I was about to tell the Secret Service to just do one example. Drag one of them. Drag them off the stage. Just one of them. Drag them. Because they refuse to get off. So just hold one by the leg and drag them down the stage. Once you do that, I think the rest of them will get up. But of course, then we were going to be embarrassed. They refused. Point blank. Even the security told them they refused that they were not going to get off. 95% of those people were not supposed to be on the stage. Our awardees had to sit down. Okay, so obviously, we as a committee have some lessons learned. Things that if we were to do this tomorrow, I would hire a private security company. Private is what I'm going to hire. No nonsense, big guys who will not even smile at them. You come, they just slap you one time. or something. Because, I mean, I don't mean to sound rude, but I'm just saying this was ridiculous and embarrassing. I was so embarrassed, I wanted to just dig a hole and get in there. Chaos. I have spoken at least 50 different events, small and big. I've spoken at events where there were 5 people. I've spoken on stages where there were 20,000 people, including African events, including small community events. I have never seen people acting like they have. You know what? I'm just going to move on because I can't. So anyway, 3 factors happened at that stage. A, people's behavior, which and crowd control. The crowd control was not enough. That we have to take that fault. No matter what is the organizing committee, I have to take that fault. B, the time factor. Yes, there was a time factor because all the nonsense that was added to the agenda, give President Barrow Award 1, 2, 3, that wasn't supposed to happen. And Lawyer Darboe, remember the Lawyer Darboe that was the liaison between us and the UN office and Alkali Conte, who Bakari Jagne also insulted and gave them their share along with Alkali on Thursday night, on Friday night, the night before the event. That one who was coming and giving us Alkali's commands, that one decided to rush on the stage to speak. He was not on the agenda. Lawyer Darboe was going to let him, and Lawyer Darboe, all of a sudden I saw Lawyer Darboe announcing that Lawyer Darboe was going to speak on behalf of UDP, and that's when all hell broke loose. Excuse my language. All heck broke loose. People rushed the stage. The same people who were standing by the podium and refused to get off, some of them rushed the stage. People in the crowd said no UDP, and of course that was right. This was not a UDP event. It was a Gambian event. They shouldn't even have mentioned any party name. People rushed the stage. People started shouting. People got mad. All chaos broke loose. And I said to Lawyer Darboe, what are you doing? Why would you even do that? At that point, we just lost the stage. I'm just going to be honest. At that point, I was looking for somebody to come rescue me. Because I was done by this time. From the woman coming from downstairs, walk up the stage and carry the chair up like this, like he's carrying something in Marsa Serakunda, to people refusing to get off the stage, to people, and then infusing the agenda. I told Lawyer Darboe, did I not just have a conversation with you? He did apologize. I have to say he apologized, but then even in his apology, watch the speech. He said, oh, I'm sorry, if somebody make a mistake, you have to apologize, but I forgot what else he said. And then after Lawyer Darboe finished his speech that he was not supposed to speak, he said, Lawyer Darboe, my co-MC, said, oh, people from UDP, you're having a meeting tomorrow. Clap for yourselves. Why are we announcing UDP's meeting there on that stage when we've already agreed that this was non-partisan? Don't mention any party. I don't care. It's DOI, PPP. Don't mention any party before the other parties get mad. You go and do that. We lost the stage. Okay? Then, Lawyer Darboe also, when he came to speak, he did say in his speech that it was non-partisan, that he was just going to welcome the president because that has not been done, but that even though UDP is the biggest party, he added that to it. At that point, I walked off. There was a point, I don't know if it was exactly at that point, I walked off the stage. And if you notice, up to the point that even Bojang Siso was coming, I had gotten off the stage because I had just had it by that time. I walked off the stage. Paseku Kujabi was coming. He actually was mad at me because he was one of the committee members. He saw that all of everything that was happening at that point had nothing to do with what was on the agenda. He met me halfway, and we actually exchanged words because he was mad at me. He was like, Sigga, really? Really? This is what you guys are doing? After all the fight we had, you guys are coming and giving all these people everything they want. I said, Paseko, what do you mean really? Me and him are now arguing because I'm now taking my frustration off of him. And afterwards, he apologized. But he's like, after everything that happened on the stage, I'm the one that you're mad at. I said, no, I'm just probably just taking my frustration off of you. Now, I have to say, after the awards, before we get to this point, right after the awards, the video that I posted, if you look at the video that I posted, okay? No, I'm serious. Somebody just texted me that I said that to slap somebody. I'm serious. I swear, in my head, I was thinking, I wish we had a private security that would just slap somebody one time. Just one time, slap. One big slap. or just drag somebody off the stage one time. Just one example, so the rest of them can see, oh, these people are not playing. I swear, left to me, just one example. I know that's bad. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound horrible, but I mean, I was so frustrated at that point. I was just one time, one little time, not a big slap, just tiny, just slap that is hard enough that they will just act right. I mean, grown men with their waramba standing there refusing to get off. And the worst of it, I'm standing there, I'm trying to MC whilst I'm talking, MCing, and I'm telling them GRTS is recording. They're walking over talking. One of them was even doing this to my head with his finger. Like, you Sigga Jagne, da da da. First of all, that person was mad at me about what was happening regarding UDP. They thought that I was the one that was giving UDP the platform. They walked over and they were so mad. Alaji Ibucham. He was so mad that he was putting his finger on my forehead. Alaji Ibucham was doing this to my forehead. I was so mad. I swear, if he was like my age mate, things would have got worse because we would have been fighting on the stage. I mean, he was putting his, like, Sigga, what are you doing? You're smarter than that. Why are you doing this? I'm looking there, how did I do this? So I just walked off the stage and went back. And if you guys look up to the point that Ami Bojang came, I had walked off the stage at that point. Because I was just like, you know what? These people are all crazy. I didn't come here for this. And nobody paying me. I have already spent half my time. People accusing me of stuff. I've paid my ticket to come here. I have a project that's late. Now people are now putting their finger on my forehead. Not only is the TV stations from New York, from the Gambian national TV, have their camera on me. You are putting your hand like this and you're talking in my ear whilst I'm trying to make a speech that the whole world is looking at. Like, you don't see the cameras? You don't see me trying to talk on the mic? What is going? Okay, anyway. I'm sorry, you guys, you don't understand. I have never in my life, since my mom gave birth to me, I have never seen people, grown people. I have seen little kids even not act this bad. I have never in my life seen grown men and women who have who are at the age that they have children who are also grown, acting like they have no sense. I'm sorry, I know in our culture we don't say that to our elders, but I was embarrassed. Jesse Jackson was looking like, why did I take this invitation? James Gomez, Jesse Jackson's assistant, who by that time, he didn't have somewhere to sit, and I had asked somebody to help me get him a seat, who somebody pulled his chair right from under him, basically when he was standing to talk. He already just felt like, you're all crazy. And I don't know why we came to this event. Okay, anyway. So, I walked up, okay, before I walked off the stage, if you guys see the video that I posted, there was a point in which I think it was 1900 minutes to between 1900 minutes to 1930. I think around 1900 I was announcing that people get off the stage. If you're not here supposed to be on the stage, get off the stage, get off the stage. At some point I even had to stop and shooing this old, I mean, I felt bad inside because that's not how I was raised, but I was shooing them off the stage. Get off, old men with their warambas. I was shooing them off the stage. I know that's rude, that's not how I was raised, but I was just so frustrated. And they went halfway, they stood right there. I looked at the Secret Service, I said, can you help me? He just ignored me. The white guy that was standing there, I said, can you please help me get them off the stage? He just ignored me. I think by the time he was saying, all of you are crazy, I'm not in this, I'm just waiting to get the president out of here. I can tell that they're not dangerous, but they're acting crazy, and that's it. That's all I'm doing, but you ain't gonna get me involved. So before I walked off, I announced, between 1900 to 1930, I announced minutes, 1900 to 1930, after I had tried to announce over and over for people to get off, I announced that it is now time for the question answer session. Listen to that video, you clearly hear me say it. When I said that, they pulled my blouse that I was wearing, and I turned around and they said, no question and answer. And I said, what's going on? They said, no, not time for question and answer. So I interpreted that as the question and answer is supposed to come later, maybe something changed. Because with events, especially an event that crazy, and all the craziness happening, I thought, okay, you know what, maybe they changed it to another. I swear to my brother's grave, I swear to my mother and my father in his grave, if I knew at that moment when I announced that what they were telling me was that the question and answer was cancelled, I would have stood there and not give up the mic and say question and answer and see. If they don't answer it, then people will know that they refuse to answer it. So immediately after I announced that, you see that Lamin Drame take the mic, and he announced that we should announce some of the people from other state, which was part of the agenda. At this point, Charnoba of Minnesota came behind me and told me that Uncle Usain Tangara said, he told me that Ambassador Tangara came to me just now and said that Uncle Usainu Darboe said, I repeat, at this point, Charnoba of Minnesota, this was right after I announced it, and they pulled my clothes and told me not to, that no, it wasn't time for question and answer. Charnoba of Minnesota, okay, of Minneapolis, Minnesota, came to me and said to me, not in my ear, he said it loudly, that Ambassador Tangara of the Gambian mission to the United States right here in New York told him that Uncle Usainu Darboe had said that no question and answer. I said, what? I walked off and I said to Charno, why would you guys agree to that? He said, well, I don't know. You know, everything has gone crazy. I said, but we've been fighting for this all along. He said, and you know, we're running out of time anyway. I said, but that's not the point. Even if we're running out of time, this is the most important. This is what we fought for all this time. To the point that Bakari Jaju even almost beat Kali Conte. Now, why would we come here and agree to that? Let's scrap everything else and do the Q&A. Now, I would say this. Charno did not see when Uncle Usainu was actually saying it to Tangara. Tangara came to him and told him, but he said he did see, after he went back, after he told me, he went back to Tangara and told Tangara that I have told Sigga Jagne that no question and answer according to Uncle Usainu. At that point, he said he saw Tangara lean into Uncle Usainu and whisper something to him, and he assumed that Tangara is relaying the message that he, Charnoba of Minnesota, gave to Ambassador Tangara of the UN, and that's what the Ambassador Tangara was relaying to Uncle Usainu, to tell him that your message to tell the organizing committee that there would be no question and answer, I have told them, and it won't happen. So, again, none of us saw Uncle Usainu's mouth say it. What we saw was Tangara come and told Charno. Charno came and told me. I argued with Charno. Charno went back and told Tangara. Charno witnessed Tangara leaned into Uncle Usainu, and Uncle Usainu leaned back, and Tangara said something to him. That nobody will get us off that. Me, let me tell you guys, tomorrow, you UDP folks, you can go insult from here to Timbuktu. After this, I'm not going to talk about this in private or public. If you like, you can say that I'm married to a dog or I sleep with dogs. I don't care, okay? I will say exactly what I saw, what I heard, what I witnessed, what somebody told me. Go to town. I don't care. Uncle Usainu Darboe, according to Tangara, sent him to tell Charnoba. Charnoba came and told me. I argued with Charno. Charno went back and told Tangara. Tangara whispered something to Uncle Usainu when Uncle Usainu leaned back. That, nobody will take me off of that. Say what you want to. You can say my mother is a donkey. I don't care, because it's not going to make it happen. Do your worst. I will say it anyway. Let me tell you something. You guys don't understand who you're dealing with. You can put a knife on my throat. I would say the same thing. You're going to have to cut it. But I would say it. Do your worst. I wouldn't even answer to none of you. I said it. Uncle Usainu, I didn't see his mouth say it, but what I said. And I would assume, because of the sequence of things, and also the fact that on Sunday, the UDP meeting that the co-MC decided to announce and asked UDP people to give themselves what's it called, applause or a hand or whatever. That meeting, I watched the video. I posted that also in my announcement. Uncle Usainu said, he said two things. He did point out that we ran out of time, and that is true. We were running out of time, but even with that running out of time, we could have cancelled all these other nonsense things and do the most important thing. So that running out of time was not the issue. The issue was all these things that they added to the agenda, and then, yes, now I don't know why Uncle Usainu decided to say that. Maybe the time issue was it he thought, you know what, these people are not going to have time, and he said it. It could have been also that Uncle Usainu looked and saw the chaos and said, because remember when Lamin the co-MC Lamin Drame, all this Lamin Drame Darboe, Lamin Drame, the co-MC, when he said that Lamin R. Darboe was going to speak on behalf of UDP, the whole hall erupted, and perhaps Uncle Usainu realized that if there's a question and answer and somebody asks something contentious, this could get really bad because the security just had lost control at that time. Maybe that is. I'm just saying, I'm making assumptions. Whether that was his reasoning, I don't know. But I would say this, regardless of whatever his reasoning is, I feel it was not his place to cancel our question and answer. And not only that, where we failed as an organizing committee, we don't take orders from them. We already fought that. I respect Uncle Usainu. Uncle Usainu's wife, I have a relationship with them. I respect them, and I respect Uncle Usainu as an uncle. But Uncle Usainu as the public figure, for me, even my mother, you see me, my mother, if I feel she is totally wrong, at home, I will tell her. I'll tell her with respect, because she's my mother. She bore me. She deserves that respect. Same way that I would tell Uncle Usainu, if it's something family, private matter, with respect. But as a public figure, if she does something public, I would say he is wrong. Even if he was my father. I don't care. It's a public thing. I would say it with respect, and if anybody insults him, it would hurt me, but I would say the truth. I don't care. You know, people can stop talking to me, whatever. I would say the truth. So, I feel that he had no place to cancel our Q&A, and I also feel that as an organizing committee, we should have said, nope, Q&A is going to happen. They can ask the question, and then Barrow can, H.E. Barrow doesn't have to answer it. If he doesn't answer it, then we know who didn't answer. Now, if that happened and the hall erupted, then we could have stopped it, but we don't know. Now we will never know. It's just assumption. Nobody really know what would have happened. It could have been that, yes, Uncle Usainu is right, that if we started the Q&A, it would have erupted and that would be bad. But now we never know. We would never know. Now, but I would say that at that meeting on Sunday, the UDP meeting, Uncle Usainu said a number of things. And some very good things, I have to say. But one of the things he said, and I posted that video and said where he was saying it, he said that, God, I've been talking. So he said that, Uncle Usainu said that the time issue, he said that if we had better managed the time, people might have got up and made statements. Remember, again, all along they were saying that they didn't want people to do a Q&A, they wanted a statement. But Uncle Usainu framed it differently. This time he said that perhaps people could have made statement, and when they make statement, they could have expressed issues. And those issues, if they expressed it, they, meaning, I was assuming meaning him, and H.E. Barrow and the government would have answered it. But that because we didn't manage our time right, nobody was able to speak. Now, if he is the one that actually gave those instructions to Tangara, he should have at that point, I would hope, also said that, but because of that, or for whatever reason, he should have given his reasoning and say, okay, because of that, I gave them a counsel and told them that they should cancel. But he didn't mention it. What he did say, though, is that he has traveled. He said it in Mandinka. I understand Mandinka better than I speak it, but I know a lot of Mandinka. I was born and raised among Mandinkas. I have even my younger brother and sister are Mandinkas. My brothers are married to Mandinkas. My uncle is married to Mandinka. I used to go to Suare Kunda all the time. Even when I was in kindergarten, I used to go to Suare Kunda all the time. I speak good Mandinka, but because I've been here for a long time, sometimes I forget. So I understand it better that I speak it. Okay? And I was born in Lamin. Combo Lamin. Anyway, so I lived in the Bakau area for a long time, and my auntie lived there in Jalokunda. Alhaji Bubakar of Bansang's wife is the same mom and dad as my father, Aji Jahuba, who was one of the wives of Alhaji Bubakar Jallo of Bansang. We used to go to Bansang, so I understand Manika very well. I listened to Uncle Usainu, and one of the things that he said was that apart from talking about the time factor, which was true, he was right, we were running out of time because of all the nonsense that was added to it. But he also mentioned that he has never seen anywhere in the world where a president or leader of a country is meeting his people and it turns into a Q&A, which I do not agree with. Of course, we know that Q&As happen all the time. I honestly don't know even what he was trying to say there. What Uncle Usainu was trying to go to. Anyway, that being said, so that's how we arrived at this whole brouhaha. Now, I could have got on that stage and said, Uncle Usainu Darboe have just cancelled the Q&A. But if I did that, this was my judgment. I felt that if I did that, remember, people have already been acting like they're crazy. They probably would have just erupted that whole hall. And it would be a security issue. We have a president sitting there. His safety. We have an issue of, I didn't want the hall to erupt. So I just said, we ran out of time. And we did run out of time. That was true. That was part of it. And I remember Alkali did give us an additional 15 minutes. And we even went back, because actually I wasn't going back to talk to Alkali. I was just pissed. I went to the back. I was just sitting there. I wasn't talking to anybody. I was mad at my committee members. Auntie Mati Njai by that time was going off. She said she was going to leave. She was going because this is not what we were. I even had to calm her down, even though I was mad myself. I went and sat back there. I was just like, you know what? I would never again in my life not follow my gut instincts. I knew I shouldn't have done this because I've already seen the craziness. I don't know why I didn't listen to myself. Of course, I was mad, so I was saying all these things to myself. Charnoba came, poor Charno. I just poured all my anger on him. Paseku, I've already fought with Paseku because I was so mad. He was mad at me because he thought that it was my fault as an MC. Now, Charno was trying to talk. Alkali came. I was sitting back there by myself. Alkali came and another guy. I don't know what the guy's name, but I recognize his face and I recognize him on Facebook. They both came and Alkali was laughing because he could see how frustrated I was. I swear I was so mad at him. But I said, you know what? I'm not even going to give him the time of day. I was just sitting there like, he was laughing at me. I was just like, if I take my coquette and just throw it at him. But then he was very generous. I guess he was just looking at me being frustrated. He said to me, well, you know, you guys ran out of time. The Q&A is not going to happen. I said, well, that's not the reason why the Q&A is not going to happen, Alkali. So I don't know why you're sitting here. So now Charno said, okay, Alkali, please, can you guys just give us some of your time? Alkali said, no. Alkali said, what you guys don't understand, the Secret Service has to agree to the time because they have to take the president out of here. And also, first, I have to sell it to my people. And they are not going to buy it. Of course, Alkali was not going to do that. He already fought backs over the Q&A. And now we're running out of time because all this nonsense was added to it. You think that he was going to walk to get us Q&A? We just gave him what he wanted. Somehow, the finagling happened to the point that we lost time. And now, they got what they wanted. He ain't going to go and get us something that he almost got beat up for. Or at least almost got into a fight for. So he said no. He said that Bojang had said that no, it wasn't going to happen. So you know what? In the end, Charno was begging him. I was like, Charno, just leave him alone, okay? All of us are at fault. So I just sat there. I was mad. So finally, I said to myself, Sigga, you cannot just get mad now in the middle of this. I know you're frustrated. Just get up. Put your cockets back on and get back to the stage. And at that time, Siddiq Y had sent me a text message and said, Sigga, get back to the stage. You cannot just abandon the stage. So I read the message. I put back my shoes on with my coquettes. Kukut kakat. I went back to the stage. I went back to the stage with Lamin. At that time, we were like, we're going to take it back from Bojang. It's over. The president has spoken. Everybody has spoken. We're going to take it back. Like I said, I put my red coquettes on. Somebody put some coquette on here. So I went back. And Bojang was very gracious, I have to say. As soon as I got there, she didn't push and pull with me. She said, oh, they're telling me. I didn't even have to open my mouth. He emailed me. Why people call? Please stop calling me. If you call me, I'm doing this on my phone. If you call me, it's just going to interrupt. So please don't call me right now. So Bojang at that time, she was very gracious, I have to say. She was very gracious. Whatever people say about her, I have to say my experience. I can only say what I experienced. I cannot say what other people experience. As soon as I got to the stage, next to her, I didn't even have to open my mouth. She immediately turned around. She immediately announced that, oops, the organizing committee, our hosts are here, and they say they're telling me my time is up. But I hadn't even said anything. She turned around, she gave me the mic, and she gave me a big hug. It's on video. And we both smiled, and it actually made me feel better, as frustrated as I was. I took that mic, and at that point, I decided that I was going to make sure, because on top of, besides just the Q&A, we had worked on, when we saw that the government, the Alkali and the protocols and all of those, the advanced team was saying that no, we cannot do Q&A. We decided, okay, how can we circumvent this? We said, okay, let's develop a diaspora proposal report. This was a few days before we started working on it. I had Jennifer Cisse, who Facebook name was Balajay from Maryland, who is, I think, either the president or vice president or on the committee of Gambian American Association. Jennifer Fall in DC, as well as my niece Aissatou Job here. They're both these are people with went to college, masters, all of this stuff, bachelors or masters. They've done research. I immediately asked them to help me. These people were working 3 days, no sleep, to work on this report. What we did was we went through, started looking at articles that were written regarding issues, recommendations that the diaspora have, looking at posts, people's posts, individual posts, looking at radio interviews. Also, we had started asking, I remember, I think a couple of weeks before, we had asked our committee to give us input. They started giving us input. We had been collecting that. We also had some interviews one-on-one with some people. Also, there were a few of the organizations that we had reached out to, given the short period of time after all the arguing within the committee. By the time we started reaching out to out-of-staters, some of the committees, such as Ajera, some of their representatives who we had by that time added to our WhatsApp group gave us some input. People like Pa Ann from Minnesota. So all that we collected, we put in a form of a report very quickly. And then we decided, okay, you know what, how do we prioritize all these things? Because there was a lot of things, from the diaspora being able to vote, to the diaspora being given incentives so they can do businesses back home, to the diaspora, to setting up, asking the government to set up a diaspora bureau that would be manned by capable diasporans who would then, do outreach with diaspora, work with the diaspora and do diaspora strategies, to doing an investment, some sort of coming up with some sort of investment fund so that the diaspora can invest into the Gambia, to doing a survey. We asked them to do, because we were not able to do a comprehensive survey given the time limit and the capacity, we asked them to do a comprehensive surveying of the diaspora, all of the diaspora, to ask them what they would like, what are their issues, what their concerns, their recommendations, to asking that they have consuls around the different major metropolitan cities around the world where there are a lot of Gambians, that they should have consuls there, to around issues that people brought to us about, that our passports, they don't, we have to send it all the way to Gambia, all of these things we added in the report. I'm trying to remember. Even things like if somebody wants to retire and they want to go back home and they have a retirement fund here, the retirement benefits, that for the major countries like England, America, where there's a lot of Gambian populations, that the diaspora bureau that would be set up and put under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs should negotiate with those governments for Gambians to be able to transfer their benefits into Gambia. All kinds of things were in that report, and for also asking that they should do a census of Gambians to know where Gambians are and who are they, what are they doing, because we feel that although there's the International Office of Migration, those people usually only have the numbers of legal migration, people who came into countries legally, but people who don't, usually they don't respond to service because they always think immigration is coming for them. But we think that maybe they would more trust something coming from their own people from the diaspora if we hired researchers, credible researchers from the diaspora, who would then go and do a census to know where are we, who are we, because I think that the numbers are very underreported. Anyway, all these were in the report. Quickly, we put it, those ladies did not sleep for 4 days. 4 days. Me, I didn't sleep for almost 2 weeks. I'm telling you, I was operating on sometimes no sleep, sometimes 1 hour, sometimes 2 hours, to the point that sometimes I'm just talking and I stand there for a minute because it was almost like my brain has frozen and my head was doing, just because of all the things we had to do. So we took all of that also, all the input from the report, and we prioritized it. We put it in a survey, and quickly we said, okay, within a little bit less than 48 hours, we asked people to respond and prioritize it. Although we were going to put all of those issues in the report, we wanted to be able to say, okay, here's all this stuff, but here's how they were prioritized, that these issues were the more priority. And I have to say, people responded, almost 800 people, less than 24 hours, almost 800 people responded. Good input. Now, and some people did tell us that, oh, the survey was not very good. But, I mean, listen, given the time frames, that's the best we could do. And I think that, I mean, under the circumstances, we did a damn good job. So that survey, the survey results, I've shared the link. You can go see the results in my announcement. You can click on that link. We put it into the report. The ladies, some of the ladies, Jennifer Fall didn't even come into the hall because of why. And I felt so bad because Jennifer Fall had already the week before, a few days before, on Tuesday, or was it Wednesday? When did, I think H.E. Barrow spoke on Tuesday. He had already traveled with Fall all the way from D.C., come here so that we can go witness President Barrow's speech. We went all the way to the embassy and we weren't able to get in, because they said they didn't have enough tickets. Now, normally, my contacts in the UN give me tickets. Remember, that was the first reason why all of this started anyway. But my contacts at some point called me and said, you know what? This year, they've been changing it because of all the security reasons and security threats. This year, we're asking, normally, the UN will just have their people give you passes if you know them. But this year, they're putting it back on the embassies. The embassies themselves, if you're from a certain country, your country you have to get it from there. And I know that the US was not going to give me one, what's his name's, the orange man's embassy. They were not going to give me. So I went back to my home country. Ambassador Tangara promised that he would give us some, but what happened, there was a miscommunication. We got there, he wasn't there. The staff, we were talking to them, they were acting like we were this wall. Very rude, I have to say. Very rude, no hospitality. We went in that embassy, people had water sitting here. They were, I mean, no customer service. No, they weren't paying any attention to us. We were, I mean, rude. I was just like, you guys are the first face of our country on a foreign land. This is how you guys are acting. And I have to be honest and say, the only person that actually really talked to us in that embassy was Alkali Conte, believe it or not. You know Alkali Conte, when he sees you in person, he's very nice. He was the one that came and talked to me. I asked him about the pass. He said, you know what, there was only 10 passes. They're trying to figure out what to do, but there's nothing I can do about this. Tukujalo was sitting there at the time. I talked to her briefly. She was sitting, waiting for her passes as well. I went and talked to the receptionist. The receptionist was a Caribbean woman. Hey, I was scared that she would have slapped me the way she was talking to me. So I said to these young ladies, I apologize, but let's just walk out of here. We went and ate our Indian food, and we left. And I felt so bad because these people have traveled all the way from DC, and they've been working with me all along, working with me on this thing last minute, staying up all night. They have their young children, they have their husbands, they gave their time and did all this work, came just to go see President Barrow. So we came all the way to here. They packed their stuff. They were going back to DC that same night, Tuesday night. Right then, as we've already eaten our Indian food, at least our stomach was full. And I have to tell you, by the way, Senabu Fall left her shoes at the restaurant after eating the Indian food. And she said that's her first day of eating Indian food. She forgot her shoes there. She left her shoes in the restaurant. So I found the shoes and put it in my bag. And halfway going home, she realized it. And she was like, where's my shoes? And I let her go halfway to the restaurant before I told her that she left her shoes. And she left her pants in here too. I guess the Indian food was really good, you know. But anyway, so I felt really bad. Honestly, I was kind of embarrassed because I felt like, you know, I promised this woman, and here they come all the way. So by the time we reach home, all the way to New Russell, we have traveled about an hour. We got to the house. Fall and Senabu Fall were packing their stuff to go take the bus back to Maryland that night, same night, Tuesday night. They had just arrived early that morning, Tuesday morning. They were taking the bus back because they had to go to work the next day. Jennifer Fall had to go to work again. Even whilst they were on the bus, they were helping with all these reports and stuff, working on it all along. Jennifer Cisse and I and my niece, we were, even as I'm working on all these things with the committee last minute, we still, I mean, most of the time they even took it over because I couldn't. I had so many things going on in my head, and we were working with the committee last minute stuff. But anyway, so Ambassador Tangara called right before the Fall sisters were about to leave and said, Sigga, Ananga, I put it on speaker. I said, what do you mean, Anama? And my niece had to take ask her mom to come there and babysit the kids so that we can all go. Ananga, manako, what do you mean, Anama? Ah, Sigga, you man ma utal la pass. Ananga, manako mandelo na mangi you said, why Sigga you dal? Yeah, where's nga suma pass? You mo wana utal na pass. Manako, why you dang money 2? You told me 2 p.m. I was there at 2 p.m. You were nowhere to be seen. And your staff were acting like I was smelling like poop. They were turning their nose, looking at me from head to toe. I was like, what did I do to you guys? I don't even know you. I just walked in here. I'm a Gambian. You treating me like I just slapped one of you or something. I mean, what is going on? Very rude. Ambassador Amadou Tangara said, hey, are you sure those were my staff? Maybe they were people from Gambia. I said, it was your staff, your receptionist, and some of those people. Very rude. Very rude. I think only one of them was nice. Actually, the young lady that was being insulted on Facebook, the Baji, I think Baji is her last name, Tima Baji's sister. She was kind of nice. The rest of them, rude. Rude. You think that maybe we walked in smelling like poop or something. They were looking at us upside down and rolling their eyes. I'm like, why? I don't know this bad habit that we Gambian, seriously, we Gambian women, what is this bad habit we have when we see other women, we roll our eyes at them and look them up and down? What is that? That just shows that you lack self-esteem. What is the woman doing to you? She's a woman just like you, have issues just like you. She sleeps just like you. She wakes up just like you. She has her own problems just like you. She has her happiness just like you. Why do you have to roll your eyes at somebody you don't even know? And you, who is in the embassy, you're the face of our embassy, you're acting like this. I hope that that's not what you do to everybody that comes in. I told Ambassador Tangara, I said, your staff was very rude. And he said, no, maybe it's the people from Banjul. I said, maybe some of them were, but I know your receptionist was one of them, that Caribbean woman, and then some of the girls there. So anyway, and I have to say, even Lamin Fati, although Lamin Fati seemed like he was more on the side of Alkali and all that, he was nice to me. He answered my questions. He didn't solve it, but he answered my questions. So anyway, they went back that same night, and they came again. They came again on Saturday. They came again on Saturday because I had gone to DC to the Congressional Black Caucus meeting on Friday. Friday night, we took the bus together and came back. These ladies have traveled Tuesday, early morning, into New York to go to the embassy, left their kids, their family, everything. They never got a pass, went back that same night, walked all along, didn't even sleep. Walked all along to work on the report and all of that. Came back Saturday with me, and one of them didn't get in, even to the event. She was late, but do you know why the reason she was late? She was walking to go print those documents, the reports, because of, again, remember the last minute we started doing the report because we realized that these people were trying to circumvent the question and answer. So we did the next best thing, trying to get people's input and do a report. We did the report. So after Ami Bojang finished talk, when I went up there and took the mic from Ami Bojang, I decided that I was going to talk about the report. I announced it, and I said that you can see it in the videos. I said that the report is very important. I described what the report was because the report was supposed to be on the agenda. They started sending people, they as in the government people, Alkali and his people, because I do have to agree that the agreement we had with them was that after the president speaks, nobody else is supposed to speak. That was our agreement. But I got mad because I felt that they have infused our agenda with all these awards for the borough and all these things that were not supposed to happen. And then now they want us to stick to the agreement. So although nothing was supposed to happen after the president, I went and took the mic. Both Lamin Drame and we called Lamin Drame to the corner, my co-MC, and said, we are going to go take the mic right after Ami Bojang. And again, I have to say, Ami Bojang was very gracious, although she knew that they were supposed to be the last people. As soon as I went there and I stood by her, before I could say anything, she announced that, our hosts are here. They say that my time is over, and she graciously handed the mic. She gave me a big hug. We smiled. We stood we posed for photographs, and I took the mic and I said, you know what? I'm going to talk about this report. This report is supposed to happen. All the while where I'm saying this, I'm hearing all this behind me. Alkali and all was so pissed off. He was telling these people, telling Lamin Drame, grab the mic from her, grab the mic from her. And Lamin Drame came, reached out his hand, trying to grab the mic, and I said to Lamin Drame, if you touch this mic, and I pulled the mic and I started talking. And then I finished talking. I didn't give him the mic until I finished saying what I was saying about the report, that it was from the diaspora and that, that we did a survey. I explained all of that. I swear to God, I would have slapped him. At that point, I was like, you know what? So I'm crazy. I would have slapped him if he tried to take that mic from me at that point. I know, because you see, even after everything happened, it was my name that everybody dragged through the mud. So I knew they were going to drag my name through the mud anyway. So what? Let them drag it at that point. I was like, you know what? That's it. It's done. I am so done at this point. Let me add to the craziness. We are all crazy anyway by this point. So I was going to slap him. I told him, and I think he could tell that I wasn't playing. I told him, if you touch this mic right now, just touch the mic. So he left me alone. And so I said what I had to say. And then I took the reports. I gave one to President Barrow. I gave one to Honorable Maifati. I gave one to Honorable Usainu Darboe. I gave one to Honorable Dr. Aissatou Toure. And they all thanked me. And if you guys remember, Dr. Aissatou Toure stood up and hugged me. And she said in my ear, "You did a good job. You're a strong woman." Because she was standing there seeing about 5 men behind me trying to grab the mic and saying to Lamin Dramé, they didn't grab it. They were telling him, "Lamin, my quota. Lamin, my quota. Lamin, grab the mic." And some of them saying in English, "Lamin, take it from her, take it from her." I said to Lamin Dramé, "Just take this mic and see what will happen." Stage, but why? We would have been fighting on that stage. I was not gonna. So Lamin Dramé knew me from all the meeting, and he knew that I was a little crazy. He left me alone. I was not gonna give that mic. I said what I had to say about the report. I gave them the report, and I have to say, listening to Uncle Usainu Darboe at the UDP meeting, I felt like he addressed some of the things in the report. Some of the suggestions that we had. He addressed the issue of the voting issue. That was #1 in the report. He addressed the issue of the councils, talking about having councils in major cities. He addressed, there was another thing he addressed from the report, I can't remember, but he didn't address all of them, but he addressed some of the issues. And I felt like maybe it was the report that we gave him. Also, Dr. Aissatou Toure, not only on the stage, but after the stage, he met me and he told Ajikumba Dafe Treasure that she would like to get the report and that she wants to work on the report, make sure that the diaspora directorate that the president mentioned, that they would make sure the issues on the report are addressed. And we are not going to stop there. We're going to reach out to the president and reach out to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and see whatever is in that report, all the recommendations, how we can make sure that the diaspora directorate that they're creating, make sure that some of those things, they really do look at it. So there are those opportunities. So there are at least some things that came out of that. You know, like I said, Honorable Usainu Darboe, Uncle Usainu Darboe addressed some of those issues on Sunday, and he addressed them very well. You know, at his Sunday meeting with the UDP party. You know, he also, Dr. Aissatou Toure asked for the report. Although I gave her a hard copy, she asked that I email her a copy so that she can make sure that, you know, it is incorporated into the agenda of the Diaspora Directorate. I'm trying to remember who else. And the president, of course, the president's speech was already written, but a lot of the things that we were asking on the report, the president addressed it in his speech. So I actually kind of feel a little bit good about that. There were lessons learned. The lessons learned for the committee is that we needed a larger venue. I think we underestimated how many people were going to come. Again, remember, although that because of Rosh Hashanah, it was hard to get a hall. If it wasn't for the borough president, we might not even have gotten a hall. And then the UN was happening. Maybe we shouldn't have done it during the UN meeting. But then again, if we didn't do it during the UN meeting, maybe, I don't know, would the president have come? We just jumped on an opportunity. But I think that the diaspora themselves, all the diaspora organizations, not only in America but around the world, need to come together and actually hold a diaspora conference where they bring them back and do it well and do bring everybody back. We just jumped on an opportunity because he was going to be here. And, you know, I explained all of that before. And if also the lessons learned for the committee, the Q&A, we should have just done that very early, from the very beginning. I don't even know. But I feel like, although Jesse Jackson, we had some challenges. Jesse Jackson had to leave at 3, so the award ceremony had to be done. We also had some challenges. The borough president had to arrive at 2 because she had a prior engagement right before ours. So we had to put all those in the agenda. But still, I think we could have figured out how to really prioritize this. We definitely needed to hire a private security, because I thought that with the police, the school security that we had, and some New York Police Department that we had there, and the Secret Service, that our people will be controlled. But oh boy, did I learn a lesson. If I was ever to do this, I don't know where I'm gonna get the money, but I would hire some huge security men who, when people see them, they'll even be scared to look at them in the eye. And I'll tell them, don't even smile. Just act like you're about to slap somebody anytime. Just look angry. Don't even smile. Don't even look people in the eye. When they look at you, just look like you're about to slap them. Because I think that's what will get our people in control. Next time, anybody who's ever going to do this, get big men, like security men, that just look like they are about to slap people everywhere. They should just look mad, period, constantly. I'm serious. I'm not even laughing. Seriously, you guys don't know how I was a little bit traumatized that day. Anyway, So, you know, those were lessons learned for us, you know, anyway. But that's it. And, you know, basically that's it. I've been talking for a long time, but that's it. You know, nobody called me from now on to ask me about this. I've talked about it. I've said all that I can say. I don't know if I forgot anything, but I was as detailed as I possibly can. I didn't leave out anything. I said everything that I saw, heard, or whatever people told me. I said their names. Whoever's going to be mad at me, they're just going to have to be mad at me. Okay? I said it as I knew it. That's it. I'm not going to talk about it again in public. Don't call me to ask me questions. I am going to tell you that I already said I'm not going to talk about this. Go to the video if you want to know. Nobody called me. I don't want to talk about this particular issue again. I have other things to do with my life. I am moving on. I don't want to talk about it in private. I don't care if you are my friend or my family member. I don't want to talk about this again. Please respect my request. If you want to know anything, go to this video. I don't think I left out anything important anyway. So please, stop calling me. I'm not going to do any interviews with any radio station. I'm not going to talk to anybody about it. I don't care if you are Yasin Job, my mother. I don't want to be rude to anybody. So please, don't call me. I'm just telling you, don't call me, please. I'm not going to talk about this. If you see anything that someone from UDP posted to insult me, don't send it to me. I'm not interested. If they said that I sleep with dogs, good for them. They're right. I sleep with dogs. If they say I'm a monkey, yes, sometimes I turn into monkeys. They're right. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. They have a right to say whatever they want to, and I have a right not to care. Bye. Thank you, guys.